Freaking out there. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is Gianluca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a dream. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. We're not afraid. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Another Sunday, another show with Luca Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.fm network. As I said, the purpose of this show, as I said many, many times, is not to entertain, but to try to wake up each other, to try to educate each other. You know, the topics I talk on this show, they're not exactly what normally you may listen on some entertainment radio station. There is nothing really to entertain here. This is a serious matter, at least for me and for many other listeners like you. We know what is at stake. It's a global plan to completely create a global tyranny. And it's already happening. Sometimes, you know, we think bad things are happening just in America, okay? And we know what's going on. You know, we understand the economy. We understand pretty much the plan to disarm us, the plan pretty much to destroy us economically and our sovereignty. And these politicians that no matter left or right, they're pretty much puppets for the same masters. But let's not forget, this is not just an American problem. Global government is in full action. And they're pretty much now implementing it, of course, also in America, because it's the last country that still has some resemblances of sovereignty, for whatever it's left, and they need to destroy us completely. But all over the world, people, they are waking up and they're standing up and they're already pretty much they've been facing this global tyranny. Today, pretty much one of the first part of this show, I'm going to have, friends from around the world that I met on Facebook and also on different other channels. They pretty much understand what's going on with this New World Order and global tyranny and the different aspect pretty much that is destroying our main rights, basic rights, wherever we are, and destroying our economy wherever we are. So just to show you that we are not alone, but there are other fellow humans, no matter where you're from, you're standing up for freedom and for humanity. Today I have with me right now Jörg from Hamburg. Jörg, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Nice to meet you. Finally we can talk in person.
Yeah, thanks, Luca, for invitation to be part of your show.
Thank you, Jörg. Where are you exactly? In which part of Germany are you from right now?
I'm in northern part of Germany. The capital here is called Hamburg, like the Hamburg, know.
Okay, like the Hamburg, okay. Very good. At least, it's funny because before I came to America, I spent some time in Germany, and I like the organization, I like the way I felt, but, the problem I realized that Germany wasn't my final destination. And I came to America, there are things that they were very similar to Italy, even if it's very different from Italy in many aspects. One thing I remember good about Germany, people, they were very serious and dedicated when it comes down to business. And don't say that everybody in Italy is not serious, but different mentality. I felt much more comfortable with the organization in Germany.
Okay.
But there was a lot of but. I realized that even I didn't know anything about the New World Order there. I'm talking about 1998. I was still unaware. I realized that Germany was still a place constrained by many regulations and many different things that belongs to the old world. First of all, tell me a little bit about you. How did you wake up about this New World Order? I know you're aware of it.
Oh, I've started late to inform myself about the satanic planning from the scumbags from Israel and from the part of the American government, who was planning to conquer the world with the NDO. So I really had started late to inform myself about that. Yeah, it's growing very fastly here in Germany too.
Yes, and I know, for example, you're familiar with, first of all, Agenda 21, correct?
Yes, I am.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I read on the news that Agenda 21 in Germany is already in full enforcement, and pretty much there are like, I think since 2016, and I'll double check now exactly when, but anyway, in some municipalities of Germany, they are pretty much no more allowed to build homes, but just apartments. And this is under pretty much the directives of Agenda 21. Are you familiar with that?
I do. Yes, here in Germany, they are building mostly new houses and apartments for the immigrants, not for the inhabitants of Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So everyone knows that here.
Yeah, by the way, I know the problem with immigration is another part of the globalists, pretty much to destroy our individual sovereignty. We know that because they want to create one new race of slaves. That's pretty much the idea, and they want to mix and match everybody. More important, they want to use us against each other. That's part of the plan, so they can pretty much rule us. But what I was looking at also, beside the immigration, that we will talk about that. I don't call that immigration. I call it an invasion. I mean, Europe is being under invasion completely by design by the bought-out politicians. But what is really disturbing also, for example, that Agenda 21 in Europe right now, especially in Germany, pretty much is already limiting the freedom or the right to build single homes, okay? Because now technically to build a single home in many municipalities of Germany is going to be almost impossible because Agenda 21 pretty much doesn't want that, does not want to have a regular people with a little piece of land and to have a home, a family home. Now it's going to be all pretty much relegated to live in apartments and smaller and smaller like they're trying to plan. And tell me something, what's about, for example, right now, since Germany became part of the European community, talking about freedom of speech, you know very well that now you could go put in jail just if you say something about, let's say, something you don't agree with, let's say you don't like the theory of that the Muslim and the religion of peace, as they want to call it, it is not a religion of peace. And I can say in America that, in my opinion, the Quran, it's a book full of violence. You know very well, if I was saying that in Europe, like, for example, look what happened to Brigitte Bardot, just to write a letter to the editor, you would be put in jail. Are there any special laws in Germany that if you criticize a religion like the Muslim, or if you criticize a group, like you don't like gays, for example, it doesn't mean that it's not anything bad, it's your opinion. You could get fined and also put in jail. Is that true?
Currently not. It's not, but the way leads to this. Like it's in Spain, there are much restrictions against demonstration or speaking about on Facebook or anywhere else against Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
You would see here it's slowly, step by step, the same way that we perhaps get jailed, yeah, if we say too much against them.
So it's pretty much, there is no freedom of speech. That's the bottom line. And this is not just now with the European community, that I really believe it also made it worse, European community, I read in the part of the Constitution, if you criticize the European community and you oppose the European community, you could be criminally persecuted. I mean, that's according to the Treaty of Lisbon or whatever it was. But the point is, Europe in general, all over Europe, and in Italy it's the same, the freedom of speech doesn't really exist. I mean, you could be civilly or penally, criminally persecuted just because you say something about your opinion about somebody that you don't agree. And today we can say about the Muslim, we could say about the Christians, we could say about the Jew. It doesn't matter. It's your opinion. It should be defended. But people in America must understand that the right that we have here, it's kind of unique. And in Europe doesn't exist. It never really existed since the time of the kings and lords. Now, talking about Second Amendment guns, for example, if you are a law-abiding person, a regular citizen with no criminal, background, any problem, could you be able to have a handgun and carry your handgun concealed for protection in Germany?
No. In Germany, it isn't allowed. It gives rights in this way for people in Switzerland, in Austria, but not in Germany. Never. It never had given, and it will not give in further time.
Wow. So it's really, that's not a little aspect. By the way, even in Switzerland, that's one of the best states out there, countries, it's still you have to go through the government. It's a permit, okay? And it's pretty, the government gives you like a rifle, but it's property of the state. So, and that's one of the best places to stay, in my opinion, Switzerland, if you like guns, in Europe, okay? But for example, all over the different countries, now we're talking about Germany with you, Jörg, but I tell you, for example, about Italy. Italy, if you want to have a gun, it's very difficult. Yes, you can have it, but you must go to your local police and beg, pretty much. You must have influences or connections to have this sort of a privilege. And then you must justify it. And you have also limitations, how many rounds you can have in the house, and all the different things. So it's very, very difficult. It is not a right. Now, talking about, for example, chemtrails or weather modification. In America, many of us, we are waking up finally, and we can see that our sky is being pretty much contaminated by these mysterious, not so mysterious anymore, airplanes that they are creating weather modification and playing with the weather. Now, finally, they are admitting it because it's the excuse to combat global warming. In my opinion, they are creating it, but regardless, it's very dangerous. They are putting chemicals in the sky. What is the situation in Germany? Do you have also weather modification programs like chemtrails?
Of course, naturally, we have it. It's all over the world, I feel myself that slowly but slowly, the people here in Germany are still awakening. But it needs time. It really needs time. We are in groups on Facebook and privately to inform the people what has happened above our heads. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it takes time. It needs much more time to wake up the people here. I feel myself that the Americans are much more informated about that as here.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you go around, you are a very unique person, I believe, because I remember when I was in Italy, nobody knew what's going on, and myself too, I was still in the matrix. But now that we are pretty much in 2015, I see an awakening in just the last few years. In Germany, do you notice more people that are getting awake about different things, like, for example, the global government, the fraud of the international bankers being behind the European community, or, for example, GMO? Do you see an awakening, or you still see people minding their business and nothing really matters?
Yes, you have to know that the media, the press media here in Germany, is very, very hide this information. Like I know it from America press, there's much more speaking about this. Mm-hmm. Here in Germany, they don't even speak about it.
Mm. Wow. And also another thing, I really think the same problem that we have here, you have there. All the big media, they are controlled by the same, there is no really free independent media. The media, they are a way to control the people. The information, it's all controlled beside independent small media like the internet, for example. Now, for example, here in America, we have, 5 networks, and they're controlled by 5 different corporations, and that's pretty much it, and they're all together in the same situation. Now, talking about how Germany changed, with this completely not. It's not an immigration problem. It's an invasion problem. And I tell you, I see Italy. It's completely gone. And I'm all for immigration. I am an immigrant myself, but I had to follow a pattern. And every country, I really believe, must retain their rights to choose how many immigrants they want and what type of immigrants they want. I mean, people must go through the main door. You can just cross the fence. I see Germany is pretty much becoming like Italy. It's been now completely chaos. Completely. What is the situation exactly? What type of immigration problem do you have that you can see in your community?
My opinion is that they ship all kind of immigrants here over the borders, from Greek through Italy, in direction of Germany. Most of the immigrants want to come to Germany because we have up to this moment they are here. They come and get money. Yeah, they're getting money.
Yeah,
and they know that. And all the immigrants they are inside Germany. They all have handies, mobile phones. And they can inform their people at home that Germany is the golden land. Yeah, they can get them the money at once.
Wait a second, Jörg. Let me understand. That means the German government, when an immigrant comes there, give them free housing and free welfare immediately.
Not houses. They firstly have to live in tents.
Okay.
Mostly, yeah. And we have so much this year here in Germany, nearly 800,000 immigrants. The highest count of immigration in whole of Europe. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have so much places for them to sleep. So when they come here, they all have to sleep in the first time in fast prepared buildings or in tents.
How is the crime? I mean, I see now people start to get, unfortunately, it's becoming violent, the situation from both sides, because the German people probably they've been frustrated, and they see all this tax dollar going to people that they just came to the country. It's no more like the immigrant comes and works and, take care of himself. Now with the welfare state that it's everywhere, it's not just in Germany, it's also in Italy. The taxpayers, the citizens, they are forced to pay for welfare to people that they came from another country, that they have no right to be there, in my opinion, if they cannot support themselves. But I heard now that there is a lot of violence starting, and what do you see there? I mean, you can see that like what happened in France a few years ago, and it's still happening. Entire communities, like the Muslim community, start to revolt and create civil war. Do you see anything like that in Germany?
Yes, of course, but not at the moment in this way as it happens currently in Italy and France or in Belgium. But the first signs are to be shown. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just last week we had two great revolts in tent areas. They fighting themselves under them. They have the immigrants with there are different cultures from Syria, from Africa. We are all putting together in one melting pot. Mm-hmm. And so these kind of cultures have enough problems under themselves. Mm-hmm. So they are fighting, great fightings against it.
Yeah. I believe another problem, immigration it can be good if it's made assimilated to the country where you go. Because you said exactly the right word, melting pot, I mean, if you leave your original country and you come to the new country, one thing you should assimilate. At least we start with the language, okay? We should speak the same language. And I believe, of course, that in your privacy, in your family, you can speak whatever you want. But when we are in public, if you go to Germany, you should speak German. And if you go to America, you should speak English. And so if you go to Italy, you should speak Italian. Why? Because otherwise we create this Balkanization. And I hate when I see, entire part of the cities, like, for example, and I'm talking about even, for example, Little Italy, okay? Or Little Greek, or Little Cambodia, or Little whatever. I mean, come on, guys. If you want to make it for a point of a folkloristic point of view that you sell the type of food, you have specific restaurants, that's fine. But when you go around and you try to look for signs, even street signs or billboards, and everything, it's a different language from the original country where you're supposed to be, that's wrong. Because that does not create this melting pot, but create this barrier, this wall of separation. And that's what destroys a country, in my opinion. We must have at least one thing in common, even if we come from different background. We embrace the language, and we try at least to have some sort of understanding that we are a new country. We must at least embrace the country, otherwise we have no reason to be there. I see this more and more now in Europe. There are parts of the cities, of the towns, completely become another country. Like, for example, Sharia law in some part of Sweden. It's already the new law of the land, and the police are already they are afraid to go there to enforce the local or the state Swedish laws. And this is wrong. This is wrong. Do you have any problem like that in Germany, like neighborhoods that they are completely under the control of an ethnic group?
It's two towns in Germany. One part in Berlin and one part in northwest of Germany, near Dortmund. I don't know if you know it.
Yes, I heard about that.
There are these two towns have great problems in different parts of their towns. It's kind of no area for police. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are really afraid to go there.
Wow.
And this becomes more and more. Yeah, we have since many years the problems with clans, with Arabic clans, with clans of Roma and Sinti from Bulgaria, Romania, and these clans have so much power that the police have really problems with them.
Wow!
But we see from our rights here, from our education, that they are not doing that what they should do. Yeah, against them.
Yeah.
It looks like they have here free rights. They can do what they want.
It's like almost there are two different sets of laws, The laws for the citizens, that you break a little law, you go to jail immediately. You don't pay even your fine, or you don't pay your ticket when you go to the bus. You take the bus and you get punished. And then you see people like that. Unfortunately, even here in America, we have the same problems, In some states, if there is an illegal alien that has no driver license, they just let them go. Meanwhile, they would have probably impounded my car to me, okay? Listen, when are you coming to America?
I will do, of course. The problems will become a little bit closer there.
I hope we can see you. We need people like you. Of course, you need to be also in Germany to stand up for your country. But at the same time, if you see things that are getting too bad, get your stuff and move to Arizona. We are waiting for you.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'm so proud to hear this.
All right, man. Listen, I appreciate it. I want to give you the floor, 60 seconds, whatever you want to say. You have the final word. Go ahead.
First, I want to thank one of my nicest people I have ever met over Facebook. Yeah, you know that you both persons that are, and special thanks to you, and special thanks that I can be your friend.
Thank you, Jörg. I feel the same. That's the spirit, guys. We are all, as human beings, no matter what now, we are standing up against this global tyranny. And that's the beautiful thing, There is no more, pretty much, you can be in America, you can be in Germany, you can be in Italy. We are here together. We are exposing this globalist elite. And we will do everything we can to defend our sovereignty. At the same time, together, we will fight for humanity. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Don't go away because I have another incredible guest. Don't go away. Bye-bye, Jörg.
Bye-bye.
Here we go, guys. Now, from Germany, we go to Ireland. This show, as I told you, it's a way to show that we are not alone. There are human beings from around the world that they are standing up, they are waking up for this new peaceful revolution. I hope it's going to stay peaceful, exposing this global tyranny that is upon us. And I really like, I love this new feeling to find people from around the world that I really feel like we are brothers and sisters in freedom. And we try to, every one of us, do what we can wherever we are. And, Ireland, it's a great place. I've never been there. I really would like to go one time. But what I like about Ireland, it's the Irish people, they tried, and they're still trying, to defend their sovereignty against this global mafia of the European community. They were trying to expose it, and they were trying to get out. And even they've been sold out by their own politicians still. And, I also think, the Irish people, as the people that they still fighting for the sovereignty against what I would call, my opinion, the occupiers. If I was in Belfast, if I was an Irish, I don't know, I would be able to go around freely, and I don't know if I would be probably in a good health. Let's put it this way. But this is not the topic of the show. The topic of the show is to bring my good friend, brother in freedom, Terry Lawton from Ireland. Terry, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Luca. Great to finally speak to you, brother.
Very good, my friend. Tell me exactly which part of Ireland. Right now I have the map, okay, the map of the world. Where are you exactly? What is the name of the place?
I live in County Wexford, down in the southeast, and the region where I live used to be known as the sunny southeast. We used to be famed for our high sunshine hours and our long hot summers.
Wow.
And somewhere along the mid-1990s, all of that changed. Our weather started to get very peculiar. Summers were no longer like summers used to be. When I was a child growing up in the 70s and 80s, we used to go to the beach every day for 4 months of the summer, and it wasn't even necessary to look at the weather forecast. You could be guaranteed good weather every day. So dramatically, the weather changed in the mid-1990s, and then of course we've all been hearing since then about it's global warming, or it's climate change as they call it now. But it's all our fault, and we need to lower our carbon footprint, and we've been told this for years and years. And I had believed for quite a while, for quite a few years, that humankind was causing the climate to change. So I stopped lighting fires in my garden, stuff that the government was telling me to stop doing, and I was good and going along with these environmental codes, which is good. Anything to save the environment is good, man. But in about 2009, I started to come into contact with information with regard to aerosol spraying in our atmosphere. I started to find out that governments and corporations are working and heavily involved in a massive global spraying operation to control the Earth's climate.
Yes.
In my research, I started to find out that there are weather modification companies operating every day all around the world, big companies making millions and billions of dollars every day, controlling the weather. There are websites you can go onto. There's one website called guaranteedweather.com, and these people can guarantee to give you good weather or whatever weather you want. They say, if you've got too much rain, we can help. You got too little rain, we can help. Whatever you want, whatever your weather needs, we can help. This is a big company. They're based in America. So it's no secret that weather modification is going on everywhere around the world. It's not largely publicized. It's not really publicized in the mainstream news or anything, but it's nonetheless, it's kind of secret, but it's not publicized, and most people don't even know that these programs are going on. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. I've been trying my best, along with my fellow activists here in Ireland, I've been trying my best to expose these aerosol and atmospheric crimes that are destroying our weather and destroying all life on this planet.
Exactly, and this is exactly what I'd like to say. First of all, it's very simple. We've been, especially, everybody can find proofs right now. I mean, I talk over the phone for 30 minutes with this big corporation in North Dakota. It was one on my show just a few months ago. It's Weather Modification Inc. They've been operating since the 60s. The reality here is this one. They try to pretty much create a crisis. If you really believe out there that there is global warming and we're supposed not even to, burn our own wood stoves, guess what? Think about what the governments have said, not just one government, not just the American government, but the governments of the world with these plans, with these global programs called weather modification. They are burning millions and billions of gas, jet propeller gas, every day. Right there, they're creating a problem. And more important, we know that there is a fraud, with it being exposed during the United Nations, that they're cooking the numbers. And why? The point is, think about it, the most feudalistic new society, like at the time of the popes, when if you pay for the indulgences, you go to heaven. Now, if you pay because you breathe, you are a sinner just because you breathe. Just you emit, the CO2 emission, you must pay a fee, you must pay a tax. And this is exactly going to be the new global slavery. And that's for me the most important thing. I'm all for the environment. I really think it's our duty to keep it for the next generation and for us. But these globalists, they don't give a damn about the environment. All they want is to enslave us through a man-made crisis. Now, I see your videos. You go out there, really, you try to really reach out people with information, flyers, and talking to them. How people in Ireland, in your part of Ireland, are reacting when you go out there in your missions?
I started my activism in 2009, Luca. Well, it was about 2010 when I took to the streets, and back then, not many people were really comfortable with hearing this. They weren't open to this kind of information, and certainly very few people had heard about weather modification before, or the geoengineering. But as the years have gone by, I would say in the last couple of years there has been a massive awakening. People are really open to the fact that government is capable of anything now. There is so much being perpetrated against the people of Ireland and also the people of the world now with this whole New World Order tyranny, with IMF banker bailouts and globalist takeover of resources and property and the water supply. And, people are just pissed off with everything, with property taxes, with water charges. The tyranny is flooding in. The tyranny is flooding in from all angles, and people are just sick of everything. They have a healthy distrust in government, and they are really open to what we have to say now. And it makes sense to people now when you tell them that the climate is being engineered, and when you explain why it's been engineered. It makes sense to them because we have had the worst summer in living memory in Ireland. This just gone. Well, we're still in the summer, but it's been the worst summer in living memory. And we're being told it's due to climate change. It used to be global warming, but now it's climate change because the climate scientists were caught in 2010 lying about the global temperatures, and it was in fact revealed that the global temperatures had been falling since 1998. There has been no global warming, so they changed it to climate change after the ClimateGate scandal. So people are skeptical because the term climate change, what is that supposed to mean? Of course the climate changes. Climate always changes. It changes, the only constant thing on this planet. But what's causing it to change is what people don't know. So when we explain to them that there are big corporations and military and science academies involved in these programs, and when I tell them, that there are governments around the world are now proposing taking control of the Earth's climate as a response to global warming, people start asking, what? Really? I didn't know this. So I goes, yeah. Hey, I've been to conferences. I can show you these programs that from these conferences, and and I show people on the streets. I say, here's the program. In this conference, in this presentation, they were talking about spraying aluminium oxide into the atmosphere and to create artificial artificial cloud to reflect the sun back out to space. And in this presentation, they were talking about the practical hardware that would be required to equip the aircraft for spraying these materials. So, you know, when you show people verifiable information on government programs and government documents, you know, it's got much more credibility. And when I started out on the streets, I didn't have much information like that. I had never even heard of a climate engineering conference. All I was really using was patents that I got from U.S. patents going back to the 1920s. You know, I used to talk about the history of weather control, how the U.S. military used weather as a weapon in Vietnam, and so on and so forth. So, but back then I didn't have any information, hard evidence of, you know, governments are now proposing it. So now I do. So it makes my job a lot more easier. And now, even in the mainstream here in Ireland, in the mainstream news, last year there was an article in the Irish Independent national newspaper, and the heading of this article was "Scientists now believe that they can control the weather with lasers." So, you know, the globalists are putting this idea out there now. They are putting it subconsciously into people's minds that this is possible, we can do this. And, of course, now, you know, we believe now that these proposals that they are laying out in all of their climate engineering conferences now, and which they have been for years, we believe now that they will legalize the spraying that's already going on once they get the green light from the people who want the climate change chaos to stop.
Exactly. This is exactly what they're doing. They created a crisis, and now pretty much they say, we got to stop this, and they try to legitimize what they already been doing for many, many years. That pretty much was the source of the crisis. They're going to start to legitimize that they need to use weather modification to keep the weather under control. I mean, what do you think, really? I mean, we can now speculate, okay? We know that they're doing it for sure it's an economic also weapon. I mean, you can control the weather, you can control the crops, you can control pretty much also the population. But what do you think? Is this something even more sinister? In my humble opinion, I believe that is also a way to keep us sick. Because if you don't have enough sun, you don't take enough vitamin D, and more important, you know, these chemicals, they are not exactly what you call healthy. And there is a plan, in my opinion, I already talked about this in the past, of the population. What do you think about this?
Well, it doesn't take much investigation to understand that spraying aluminium oxide on any living creature is not good. Sulfuric acid is not good to be spraying on people. If I propose spraying sulfuric acid on somebody, this, I should be reported to the police and I should be arrested, you know. But yet these geoengineering salesmen, they have their conferences and they propose spraying millions and millions of tons of sulfuric acid onto human populations. But not only human populations, all life on Earth is affected by this shit. And they openly talk about this. These people need to be arrested for intent to murder. And, you know, so of course, yes, it's not good spraying all of this stuff on the planet. It is causing all sorts of sickness in plants. We can see this now. You look at the trees, you look at leaves on the trees, and they're all burning from the aluminium. You can get rainwater checked or soil checked, and there's high levels of aluminium everywhere. Stuff is raining down everywhere. I've had my own rainwater tested, and it shows up high levels of aluminium, 30 micrograms per billion. There should not be aluminium oxide in rainwater, full stop. By the way, when I say aluminium, I mean it's aluminum, but we call it aluminium in Europe. Yeah. But there should not be aluminium in rainwater, especially I'm living in a rural area. There's no industry, so there should not be aluminium in rainwater. We now know that there's aluminium in the bees. The bee population of the world now has aluminium in their brains. They have dementia. A recent study out of Keele University in the UK a couple of months ago, a team of scientists found that bees now have dementia. These poor little creatures, their brains are accumulated with bloody aluminium. We've got a big problem here. And, you know, this stuff is raining down. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. There's no doubt it's everywhere. It's up in the atmosphere. It's raining down. It's killing all life. It's slowly killing us. We have Alzheimer's and autism and all of these aluminium related illnesses now. They are at an all-time unprecedented high. This is an emergency situation, and people need to understand what's happening here. It's not a conspiracy theory. This stuff is falling down, and we need to wake up. We need to wake up to what's happening. But of course, they need to keep us sick. They don't want a healthy population. So this is, you can't take over a population by stealth. If that population is healthy and fit, and if they eat good food, you have to make them sick. You have to make them sick through the food, through the water they drink, and Terry, you have to keep them run down.
Let me ask you something, Terry. What's about you mentioned something about food and water. Does Ireland allow GMO right now? I know in Europe there is some sort of a trend trying to stop it, at least some countries.
Yes.
So you have GMO?
Yes. In 2013, there was a trial run for a crop of genetically modified potatoes. A trial run. The green light was given for a trial run for genetically modified potatoes, and so since they have been grown here. Yes, so it's the genetically modified potatoes are now here. We have genetically modified potatoes which are blight resistant in Ireland now for the last couple of years, and it's genetically modified. You go into the supermarket, you cannot get genetically modified. You cannot. It's very hard to buy organic food. Most of the food in the supermarkets is genetically modified.
Wow.
It's picture perfect. It doesn't have any blemishes. It's like you see in a magazine, and this is not normal. I go to Spain and Italy and different countries every couple of years or whatever. I go away every few months if I had enough money, but I can only go away once every couple of years now. But whenever I go away to markets in Europe, I see beautiful fruit, natural fruit, with different shapes and sizes and blemishes, like fruit used to look like when I was a child growing up. But fruit no longer looks like that anymore. It looks like plastic. It looks like stuff that was made in a factory.
And let's say exactly the problem. First of all, it's happening everywhere. Unfortunately, even Italy now, they are under attack. Germany is under attack. Even they're trying to stop it. It's now only a question of time unless the people wake up. But let's remind exactly when people say, what's your problem with GMO, genetically modified food? First of all, let's start to do this. If you want to start to mess up with nature, you are not God, okay? And especially when you have something you need to eat in your body. But more important here, we're talking about your health. The University of France, a few years ago, tested different type of GMO corn and was feeding GMO corn to rats, lab rats. And after 3 generations, these lab rats fed only with GMO corn, they became completely sterile, and more important at the same time, I don't know what is more important, they had all tumors all over their bellies. All you got to do is do a research, you can find out. So I really believe this is not an accident. This is not just to make an extra dollar. It's part of this global implementation of this depopulation between the chemtrails, between the food and the vaccines. They're trying to push vaccines everywhere. What is the situation with the vaccines? Is the Irish government so obsessed to try to force vaccines on your citizens?
Yes, about 3 years ago there was a lady in Cork, County Cork, and she was on the run from the police, from the Irish police.
Wow.
They were hunting her down because she refused to let her children be vaccinated, and this lady was on the run. I heard of this story, and you know what? I haven't heard anything about the conclusion or what happened, but that was a fact. Yes. Now there is. I think that there was talk in the national newspapers last year. There was talk about social welfare protection payments can be now stopped if you do not vaccinate your children.
Wow.
So there's all of this. The media is threatening now. They're putting the fear out there that if you don't go along with the government tyranny of vaccinations, you're going to get your payment cut off.
Wow. Now, this is so serious. I want to say this to my American brothers here. You see, we are not alone. This is happening everywhere. And the agenda is the same. We are facing the same situations. The only thing we still have left here in this country, and it's up to us, unless we want to let it go, is our First Amendment. We can call the president a piece of garbage, a bastard, a pig, whatever. We can call every politician the name we want. We can say things that, unfortunately, in many parts of Europe, since there is not the First Amendment, you could be, especially now under the European Constitution, be prosecuted criminally and civilly just because you express yourself about some opinions. You cannot criticize, for example, a religion or or somebody, you can be, at least in Europe, that's can be outlaw, can be facing consequences. So in America we are facing the same situation you're facing, guys, but we must appreciate at least we still have this freedom of speech, and also we have a Second Amendment that I tell you, somebody comes to my door, and I'm not trying to play Rambo here, I'm a regular guy, you know, but if you come at my door, you try to force a needle into my body or into my children or into my family, you know what, it's going to become World War III. I'm not going to go down without a fight. And unfortunately, I know many parts of Europe, people that have been disarmed a long time ago. Tell me, what's going on in Ireland with the right of the privilege? I don't know, I'm assuming, for a regular law-abiding person like yourself, if you want to have on a handgun, and you want to carry your handgun on yourself, on your persona, or your person for self-defense, do you have the right, or it's impossible? How does it work?
No, you need to be a landowner. You need to be a farmer with lots of land. You can own a shotgun, but you can't have anything like, you know, AK-47s or anything like that over here, man. It's just like shotguns or rifles. But when I woke up to New World Order tyranny back in 2009, the first thing I done was I stocked up on food. I have my garage full of food. You know, but it's not a whole lot of use having a lot of food if you don't have guns to protect it. So I looked into, I investigated into the possibility of buying a gun. And I need to get permission from from two landowners to buy a gun, and I tried to get permission from landowners, and no one would give me permission to shoot on their land. So basically, no, I cannot get a license to own a gun. Oh so gosh. You know, an armed population is a free population. You know, the Second Amendment in America is not, you know, just for duck hunting, man. That was put there by the founding fathers to protect the American people from a tyrannical government taking over, and it should be the same here in Ireland. We had the rights. We had right to we never really had right to bear arms in modern times, but you know we have, you know, we've never been given this Second Amendment right, you know, so we need that here as well, you know. I would feel much safer if I had a gun, not only to protect my food, but to protect me and, you know, my home, my family. I don't have wife or kids, but to protect my mother, my father, my brothers, my sisters, because, you know, there's a lot of crime now, and there's a lot of people being beaten up in their own homes, held at gunpoint, you know, and their money stolen from them and all, you know. But you know, a lot of people even killed in their own homes, shot by intruders, you know. And if they had a gun, if these people had arms, you know, they could save their lives, you know. And so we need guns to protect ourselves. But no, we can't own a gun here in Ireland unless we're a landowner.
You know, this is so important. It breaks my heart because I know Italy is the same, and I left behind many years ago this reality, and now I'm so used to this new reality, especially in Arizona, and I feel sorry for everybody out there, for every human being. I don't care if you're Irish, Italian, German, you know, every human being should have the basic right of self-defense and defending their property and defending their freedom. And that's why oppressive governments never want to have law-abiding people with weapons, because the government become oppressive when has all the power. And I'm sure you're familiar with the Irish Rebellion of 1803. You ever heard about that?
The Irish Rebellion, you know, Luca, I'm not really, my history is not very good, actually. I'm not familiar with the 1803 rebellion. Anyway. I know the 1798 rebellion. We've had many rebellions, and all of these rebellions have been trying to get the British out, you know, and we have...
The rebellion of the Pikes.
Our founding fathers shed blood, you know, to give us the freedom we have now, and they fought and died, you know. But 1803, I'm not sure of that rebellion.
Anyway, 1798 Irish Rebellion, that's another one. You know, they call the Pikes Rebellion. You know, the point is, no matter who are these oppressors, they could be the Romans, could be the Germans, could be, you know, another country coming to your country. In this case, the British. The first thing they do, they disarm the people. You know, exactly. and that's the bottom line. That's happened always in history, you know. And now, you know, look at the history of Ireland, you know, they pretty much had to fight with pikes, with wood, you know, with just tools, you know, farming tools. Because the first thing they do, the oppressors, they come and get your guns. So only the soldiers and the enforcer can be armed. That's why I say, everybody out there, you know, I don't care where you are, we all got to fight together to regain these basic human rights. I understand America has been an experiment that has something very unique with the Bill of Rights. But wherever you are, you should start to try to talk to your fellow human, to your fellow countrymen. make them understand that guns, they are not bad things. Guns, they are exactly the last line of defense between complete tyranny and a free population. I really want to applaud you. You are such a busy guy. You spend so much of your money and time. I see you. I don't know what you do for a living, but I know that you spend a lot of your energy. You could make, many other people that are very more selfish and they take care of themselves. What do you do exactly to pay your bills? Because I always see you out there on the street giving flyers and probably printing these flyers and buying them out of your money. What exactly do you do in Ireland?
My trade is I am a floor and wall tiler, ceramic and marble. I tile bathrooms, I tile kitchens.
Okay.
I've been doing this for 25 years now, but I haven't been working for the last few years. I haven't had no work, so I've been on the dole. I've been getting social welfare, so this is what's funding my activism. So
Wow.
I struggle. I have to pay a mortgage here. My mortgage is a lot of money, but I only pay a small fraction of the mortgage. And I just about keep my head above water, paying bills, and so my activism is, I fund it myself, but I really struggle, So it's.
Listen, I pray for you that maybe you win the lottery or something. I know you would use the money in a very good way. My message is out there. Look out there, guys. There is no excuse. If you think you're just a regular guy, and we're all regular guys, and every one of us can do so much. If a person like Terry, just out there in his own community, start to reach out other fellow people, and start to give them information. And when good people have information, they will do the right thing. I believe that. So there is no excuse. Help is not going to come from Captain America or some heroes in mask. We got to look ourselves in the mirror tonight, and every one of us, if we can start to change our own family, our own environment, inform them with information and start to be proactive, we can change and we can stop this global tyranny. I want to give you the floor, Terry, the last 10 seconds. Whatever you want to say, you're welcome.
Right now I'm trying to encourage all of the geoengineering activists in Ireland. I am trying to encourage all of them to take to the streets. We need the boots on the ground. We need to get away from the keyboard for a while. Facebook and YouTube is good, but it's not going to reach a certain audience, so it's only so powerful. So I am urging all of the activists in Ireland now to set up street teams in every county, every town, every city, every village, and have geoengineering, climate engineering awareness days. And, we need to wake the people of this country up to what's going on, because it's only a small country here. And I believe, if we get enough street teams, we can send a wave of resistance and a wave of awakening around the country. I believe, it's only a small country, so this is what I'm trying to do. I want to set up street teams. I can provide banners. I get banners printed free, the nice colourful, eye-catching banners. My friend prints them for free. He's awake to what's going on. He knows what time it is. So I can provide banners. So please, anybody in Ireland, get in touch with me. I'm on Terry Lawton on Facebook, Wexford Skywatch also, and T-Bird Lauderdale on YouTube. So get in touch with me, and I need help. I can't do this alone. Me and my team are in Wexford. There's another team in Dublin, but that's all that's in Ireland. So we need teams everywhere, and it's the only way we're going to get it stopped. There's a mass awakening and get these tyrants out of our lives.
Thank you, Terry. It's an honor to call you my brother in freedom, and one day I know we will meet somewhere, okay?
I want to meet you, Luca, and I want to play a few of your songs with you, man. I love your music, and I know you came across me playing one of your songs on YouTube. I think this is how you got in contact with me initially. I'm a big fan of your music, and you were so kind to send me the copy of your album, Don't Tread on Us. I love this album. It sends shivers up my spine every time I listen to it, because every lyric in it resonates with me, and it should resonate with any human being that wants to be free. So thank you for your music, and thank you also for your activism and your brilliant radio show, my friend.
Thank you. And guess what I'm going to do now? I'm going to play Don't Tread on Us, but not performed by myself, but performed by you. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Lucas Zanna. Don't go away. We're going to go ready for hour number 2. We'll talk all about guns.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. We're not just free. Don't tread on us. You brought the light through your way. You're all your right. tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us. You cross the line. Soon you will pay for all.
And this is it, guys. This is the first hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Lucas Zanna. I want to say something. You know, I really get kind of emotional. This is really what gives me the motivation to stay on the air. You know, I'm not here to become the next radio guy. I couldn't care less. It is just an effort, motivated by love, to unite with other human beings from around the world, unite with my fellow Americans, with my fellow Irish people, with my fellow British, with my fellow Italians, I don't care where you're from. I care that we are together, we respect each other, and more important, we stand together to defeat this global tyranny. This is it. And we need every one of us. And also I want to say I need your help. You are here as a listener. I want you to become an activist. This is not a show for passive people just listening. Do what you can. Whatever you can do to expose in your community what's going on, this Agenda 21, this completely devastation of the basic rights. If you go back to everything we're talking here, it's so simple. Do what you can in your community. Try to do your part. And one thing you can do, even, say, what can I do? You know what? You can support the show. I'm going to be here as long as I can, but I need your help. As you can understand, this is not exactly some sort of a commercial show that I try to please everybody. I don't want to please anybody but the truth. That's it. And to keep the truth out there, I need your help. And don't get me wrong, I may be wrong too. Sometimes what I think is the truth may be wrong, and I'm here happy to be challenged. And please, try to help me out. If sometimes I say something that I'm not aware or ignorant, I'm very humble here to try to learn. So, but please, if you want to help the show, go to lovegunsfreedom.com and you can find my music section, or go to zanna.us, zanna.us, and you can download any of my songs for just 99 cents. In doing so, you can keep the show free and you can keep me on the air and on the internet. Thank you very much. Don't go away. Now ready for hour number 2. And Terry Lawton, you're my hero. Thank you for spreading my message and my music there in Ireland.
Don't tread on us.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Lucas Zanna on United States.fm network. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Lucas Zanna on United States.fm network. Here you go, guys. This is the hour about guns. But the gun, what it is, it's just a tool. The idea of the gun is to defend your person, defend your property, or defend your freedom. That's the only reason why I have a guns. Many of you maybe they may have it also for sport reasons. That's fine. Or for hobby. For me, the gun is not a hobby. It is not a sport. For other of you like to go hunt. That for me more like in the survival mode. I don't really like to go hunt unless I'm starving. But regardless, I think it's very important in this hour that normally we talk about guns and marksmanship and reloading and prices and stuff, some ideas about preparation and more important, preparation for different scenarios. I'm not just talking about, the bad guy knocking down at your door and you do what you have to do. Hopefully you're trained, hopefully you got the right tools, and hopefully you know exactly what you have to do. But I'm talking about bigger scenarios. For example, let's say you were living in a Katrina scenario. Let's say you were living that tomorrow really things are going to get nasty. And they already, look where we're living now. Could you imagine 20 years ago that we were living under this new America with a K, where pretty much any one of us can disappear? And I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like I don't like this country, but I am here to face the truth. This country has been hijacked by this globalist. And when I have a country that's supposed to have the basic rights or due process, and now under the new laws, unconstitutional laws like the Patriot Act, or the more important now under Obama, the Mr. Peace-loving Obama, the National Defense Authorization Act, any one of us can disappear in the middle of the night. We can be arrested with no due process and be indefinitely detained by the military just because I'm suspicious, I say again, suspicious to be a terrorist. So, I'm sorry guys, this is no more a way that we're going to face reality. We need to admit reality, and reality that this is the time to prepare. Because I'm not here to be violent, but also I'm here that if tomorrow somebody wants to destroy my freedom and detain me without a reason, I will fight back. I will do everything I can. And not just for me. If I have neighbors next door to me, I start to hear screaming in the middle of the night, disappearing. I don't know if these people, they are aliens from Mars or they are ninja boys from China. I do not care. I have to do everything I can as a human being. So I think now is the time to prepare. I want to have a guest, people with the military experience, background experience, different training experience, to start to share their ideas how we can prepare for different scenarios. I had a couple of weeks ago a great guy. He's also is a veteran and also is an expert in reloadings. But today I want to keep, I would like to use his brain, let's say, pick up on his brain about pretty much this sort of basic tactics of preparation in a civilian environment. His name is Tim. Tim, are you there?
Yes, Luca. I am here. How are you today?
Very good, Tim. And, do me a favor. I want to give respect to your last name. I think I got it down now, but give me one more time your last name. So I want to be sure we got it right.
My name is Tim Siewert.
Siewert. I knew it. But, I like to give a perfect last name pronunciation. So good. Tim, give us a little bit about, we talked last time about reloadings, and I want to give a little note to the people, something that I don't share in public. I talk to you over the email, and I think it's important to share it, even if it's not really matter to the people. A few years ago, I was starting to reload. You are into reloading, Tim. You're an expert. You have two beautiful books out there that, of course, I would like people also to and we will give the website again in a little bit. And a few years ago, I started to reload myself. And, I'm not an expert, but I had a guy that I consider an expert. He's been doing that for 30 years and never had a problem. And he's a very good guy. He's a friend of mine. But something went wrong. I don't know what happened. I had one of my revolvers exploded. I had the Taurus 357. And we never really figured it out what happened. Could be some, I thought there was too much powder, but I checked all the other bullets, they were fine. So bottom line, I got my handgun blown up. Thankfully, nothing really serious happened to me. And, but I had a little voice in my head, and he said, what, Luca, maybe you should stick with factory ammo. And from that day, I did a promise to my mom, and I never reloaded anymore. But I'm not here to say that anyone should do what I do. Of course, I encourage people to reload. This is just my personal experience. That's why people, when ask me, why don't you reload? I have two reasons. First of all, I have not the time. I'm still a working man, and I don't have the time. And I was lucky enough years ago to buy enough ammunition, even never enough. But, okay, I did more than the average person. And the second thing, this little accident that I had to fulfill this little promise to my mom. So now Tim, why I'm not into reloading business. But anyway, so let's go back to today's topic, Tim. Give us a little bit about your military background. Which branch of the military you served?
I was in the Marine Corps.
Okay, that was which year? During the Vietnam time?
No, actually, I was in the Marine Corps in the late 70s after the end of the Vietnam conflict. I originally enlisted in the reserves and got selected when I was enlisted to go to OCS, and I went to OCS, Officers Candidate School, and completed that, and I became an officer. And because of a few experiences that I had in the Marine Corps after I became an officer that I'd rather not go into, I resigned my commission in the Marine Corps mostly because I could see the handwriting on the wall. I could see the direction that this country was going then, and that was 34 years ago.
Wow, imagine now.
And so I've never tried to hide the fact that, you know, I never went anywhere. I never did anything other than just go to school and serve a short time in the Corps. I did have some training, you know, the basic training that a basic Marine gets and a basic Marine officer gets, which is, you know, ironically, quite a bit more than anybody who has never been in the service gets. But my point is that you said you wanted to talk about organization, and my first piece of advice would be to, if you're interested in preparing, and you're interested in being prepared, you should seek the advice of people who have real experience. I had a long-time friend who I first met when I was a senior in high school in 1974. He spent 3 years in Vietnam, and he was very fond of saying that there are a lot of closet commandos out there, people who have never, they have no experience, they really don't know what they're doing, yet they have a knack for suckering people in, mostly because they want to get these people's money. Mm-hmm. I would really caution against anyone seeking advice from anybody unless they are absolutely sure of the person's background. That's the first thing that I would advise people who are just awakening. The second thing is there, you know, I see a lot of posts and websites. There is so much equipment out there today. It is literally mind-boggling. As a matter of fact, I just posted a little clip on my business Facebook page the other day. Some guy had a Glock, a fully automatic Glock with a snail drum magazine, and yeah, you know, stuff like that is cool. Mm-hmm. But it's really, it's not advisable to have something like that. You really need to focus on the basics, and this is one of the things that I learned in the Marine Corps to begin with, as far as learning how to shoot, was that you want to focus on the basics always. Even when I shoot a rifle match today, I still concentrate on basic principles of marksmanship that I learned in the Marine Corps over 35 years ago. And see, you can have, my point is you can have the top shelf, the most expensive equipment in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it's not going to be of much benefit to you.
Exactly. You know, and also the point is always this one. At the end of the day, we're supposed to be riflemen, and I mean really riflemen, not just because we own a rifle on the rack. I mean, qualify as a rifleman, and because that's the most important tool that we have as a citizens right now available as individuals. And can we refresh 1 second? Because sometimes, you know, I have friends out there, and don't get me wrong, you know, I don't want to pass judgments, and I think they have a great heart and they mean well, but just because they have a rifle with a scope and they can hit something at 100 yards, they think they're riflemen. According to the qualification army test, you know, or at least to be qualified as a rifleman? What are the requirements? I remember when I did, I don't know if you ever heard about the Appleseed project. They go around the United States. It's a non-profit group, and they train basic 2 days clinics about riflemen. And what I used to like about that, they have this sort of a test. It's according to the Army qualification test. They can be also being scaled down at 25 yards, or you can go all the way back to 500 yards. But the point is, you must shoot at least at 4 minutes of angles, with the iron sight, with a regular rifle, with the regular ammunition, with your sling, no benches. So that's pretty much what I would say. What is for you the qualification of a basic rifleman according to the Army or Marine Corps?
Well, I'm familiar with that program. I've never gone to an Appleseed shoot, what they call their shoot.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw a need to, considering that, not to sound conceited or anything, but I was already way past that by the time that program was initiated, something like, I don't know, 10 or 11 years ago, I think now.
Yes.
But anyway, it's, you know what, I will say this, for somebody who is just starting out, it's a good place to start. I will say that. But you can go a lot farther.
Yes.
I will also say that.
Tell us the farther part. I like that. Go ahead.
Which part, Luca?
I mean, the point is, as I said, you said, the Appleseed is a great instrument, a great program to start people, to start to put them in that direction. Now, the point is, it's like a journey. You start somewhere and you want to decide, or at least you decide where you want to stop. What would be a next step for a person that now starts to understand the basics of rifleman marksmanship? What would be the next place where you would invite them, or the next thing you should do to try to improve? And what would be pretty much your standard as a rifleman with iron sight?
Well, the next step, I think, would be to, if you want to continue honing your skills with a rifle, the next step would be to start getting involved in NRA competitive rifle shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to shift gears for a moment here, and I have said for a very long time. Remember a couple weeks ago, when we spoke a couple weeks ago, that I said that I started out when I was 11.
Yes.
When I was in the Boy Scouts. And that, when I first started out, we were shooting 22 caliber bolt-action rifles at 50 feet, and that's also what I did when I was in high school, in the high school ROTC program.
Mm-hmm.
That, even though for the last 2.5 years, 22 ammunition has been rather difficult to acquire, I still maintain that everyone should own a 22. Like, I remember you had a post on your website not on your website, on your Facebook page a few days ago about the Ruger 1022. That's a really fine starter rifle. You can make a lot of upgrades to the 1022 and make it a very accurate.
Yeah, if I want to say about the upgrades, sorry if I interrupt you. One thing I learned when I went to the Appleseed, they showed me this 1022 upgraded. They call it the Liberty rifle. And what it does, you can get an aftermarket sight, the front sight and the rear sight. I forgot the company, but guys, you can go out there and find out. It's pretty much the same peep sight like the M14. And it's a great upgrade there because you're going to have the same sight picture of your military rifle. That could be the M1A or M14. And then, of course, one very important thing is the sling. Normally, these 1022, they come without sling. To add the sling, it's very important so you can train really shooting from the three basic positions, standing, sitting, and prone with the sling. That sling is not just to hold your rifle, it's also to improve your accuracy. So what other type of improvements would you do beside those?
Well, I would recommend, first of all, again, just like when we were talking about the M1A a couple weeks ago, the first improvement that I would recommend would be a barrel. There are a number of aftermarket barrels available for the 1022. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money. There are barrels out there available for the 1022 that are in the $300 to $400 price range, just like barrels for the M1A. And then there are barrels out there in the neighborhood of $100 to $125 that are, believe it or not, almost as good as the barrels that cost 2.5, 3 times as much.
Okay, so also a barrel is important. Go ahead.
So the first thing would be a barrel. The second thing would be the trigger. The 1022 it's a really, really neat little rifle in that you can replace the whole trigger group just by removing 2 pins. Mm-hmm. And I would strongly recommend, I have a 1022 that I totally tricked out. You know, that's a American term for, upgrading.
Okay.
I have a 1022 that I totally tricked out, and I installed a Volquartsen trigger group. They are available from several sources. They run, if you can find them on sale, they're a little bit under, they're about $180, but it is an excellent trigger. And that brings me to the point that any firearm has to have a good trigger, because that is to use a computer term, that is your user interface with the firearm. One of two. The trigger and then the sights are your 2 user interfaces with the firearm, and you have to have a good trigger. Otherwise, you can put, the best barrel you can find on a firearm, and if it has a lousy trigger, you're still going to have a lousy firearm.
Exactly.
So these Volquartsen trigger groups, and you can get that would be number 2, and the number 3 upgrade would be a stock. The factory stock that comes with the 1022 is what it is. It's a basic piece of birch hardwood stock. It isn't even oak, it's birch. And it is exactly what it's supposed to be. It's a basic stock. There are a number of aftermarket stocks out there. I would recommend getting one that has an adjustable comb and an adjustable butt plate.
Okay.
There are a few out there. Those are the 3. Go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. The 3 things you wanted to say. I wanted to just interact before I forget. I wanted to give the opportunity for our listeners to maybe say, you know what, I don't have a 1022. My job here with the show, it is not just to bring you guests that they give you the input, the experience, but also try to find for you deals, okay? And when I mention these companies, I don't get paid. It's just my really honest job to try to give you the opportunity to find the best thing for the best price. I found on a website that normally I shop from, it's called CDNN, Charlie Delta November Sports, cdnnsports.com. One of the best deals for brand new Ruger 1022 with synthetic stock, simple basic, no any type of upgrades, of course, for $189. And I think, it's pretty decent price, especially, if you have a good FFL dealer that doesn't charge you much. I wanted just to say that. So in case, guys, you don't have yet a 1022, start with the rifle, and then, of course, according to your resources, you can do the upgrades that we were talking. But if I can say one thing for sure that I would do before anything else, and it costs the less, to add a sling. Don't you think about that, Tim?
Yeah. It's like the late Jeff Cooper used to say every rifle should have its own sling. The sling is necessary. You're absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm. Because, I learned this years ago. At the beginning, I thought the sling was just something to hold the rifle. Instead, the sling is the tool, one of the most important tools for a rifleman to acquire extra stability. And you can use sling in different ways. Of course, now we are not going to hear through the radio, but the point is, even when you're standing, you can use the sling in a hasty way or hasty way. And the point is, you get at least an extra 15% of accuracy. And when you are prone and you try to play shots at 400, 500 yards with the iron sight, I realized that without sling, I cannot achieve what I could achieve with the sling. So I think it's something very important. And to put a sling in also in the Ruger 1022, it's important because you will train with the same way you could train with your M14. Now, I see on your book, on your website, by the way, that you have two main websites. One is 1776men, MEN.com. You cover, beside reloadings, different type of topics, and I like that. What we were talking here today is preparation, not just to go to the range and shoot and learn the basic. Of course, we start with that, but also how to organize. And I see that you have different books, like I own myself, like, for example, the Guerrilla Guerrilla Warfare by Mao Zedong. That I think it's a very good book. Even I despise the man. What do you think about the basic concept in case tomorrow, let's say we got invaded by a foreign force? I think we've been invaded by the bankers in Washington. But before even we go there, let's say tomorrow, things can happen. I believe it did happen in the past in World War II. The Japanese had a shot. They did it. I really mean it today. I say that China is going to be our next potential threat. I hope to be wrong, but anything can happen in the near future. What if tomorrow we are invaded by a foreign country with the help of our traders in Washington? What would be, I know in this hour it would be impossible to do, but what would be your first thing you would do as a person? What type of experience would you share to our fellow Americans?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that I have Mao's book on my website available, and I put it up there for a reason, because, like you said, even though I don't agree at all with the man's ideology, he was a good tactician. There have been better. I mean, he did learn from, believe it or not, he learned a lot of what he knew about guerrilla warfare from other people in the past. Another good book to read would be, Clausewitz on war, Sun Tzu on war. Mm-hmm. But as far as an impending invasion, I would first recommend trying, and I emphasize that, trying to get your neighbors on your side. And believe me, I speak from experience when I say I understand it. That can be very difficult.
Yes.
Because a lot of people do. They still have their heads in the sand. It's unfortunate, but it's a fact. So, a lot of people, I mean, if that were to happen, I'm sure a lot of people would be pulling their heads out of the sand really quick. Unfortunately, it would probably be too late.
I know, but I think that already now there are more and more people that are willing to listen. Maybe 20, 30 years ago was different, I'm sure. But this is the time that really we must try to do everything. And guys out there, sometimes you get depressed with some members of your family or some of your friends. Just move on. Don't waste too much energy. Sometimes you can use that energy to wake up 3 more people while you were still trying to, because some people, they know the truth, but they are so hardcore to admit it. They don't want to admit it. Sometimes they have egos problem. Just move on. You put a seed into them and you move on. Now, one thing I would like to say, there are several books that I studied in the past, some of them when I was in the academy, but some also when I in Italy, and also some because I really like to study these books. One book I like the most as a practical manual that I wish everybody out there could buy it. It's called Total Resistance by Major von Duck. It's a Swiss Army major. And this is a kind of a book from at least the 60s, I guess. And it was written as a manual to pretty much give this manual to every Swiss citizen to be prepared in case of an invasion and to have find some basic training, because every one of us, every one of you, I don't care if you're young, if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're a child, there is a purpose for every one of us. And if I could leave you right now, with this basic thing, get this book, but don't just get it and put it on your bookshelf. Study it and start to share with your family. Start to have some basic planning in your household. Because I'm telling you, I really believe that some of us, of course, just because of what we do, what we say, a guy like yourself, writing books and writing about your philosophies and your beliefs and your website, and with your military background and the fact that you exercise your rights as the Second Amendment, you're already there on the potential list in case we have an invasion. I did find out, and I know that your website is being visited too. I realized a few months ago in July, my website, zanna.us, is being visited by Chinese websites, or at least by Chinese servers, a few hundred times. I know very well that in China they have like what they call the Great Wall. That means the regular Chinese person is not allowed to go in some Western, especially websites that could be considered like controversial. They outspoken about things like we do. So all I can think that maybe somebody in the U.S., not in the U.S., maybe also in the U.S., like a Homeland Security watching my site. But regardless of that, the Chinese government, they pretty much visited my site. Why? What is the benefit? I don't know. I have just speculations. But I know that if I was them, and tomorrow I would plan an invasion, and I know that they have the numbers to create a colonization. There is no more this sort of technological edge that we used to have. The Clintons, they sold us out, and so the last administrations. So now they have the same technology that we have, and if you don't want to go for complete annihilation and World War III nuclear war, we're going to be forced to fight World War II style, man to man. And guess what? How many soldiers do you think they have, in your opinion, out of 1 billion population just in China, Tim, according to your mind and to your experience?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that about your website, because I've had similar traffic on my website for the last, I don't know, probably for the last five or 6 months at least.
Wow.
A number of visits from Chinese servers. I mean, I don't have the technology to identify the individuals who are visiting my website, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I have had a number of visits from Chinese servers. As far as numbers go, it'd be pure speculation. I mean, granted, they have in the past history. I know that they've boasted being able to field a 200 million man army.
Wow.
I kind of think that is probably their total reserves. And now, they have reserves also, kind of a lot like we do and like Russia does, but to a greater extent. I think that their first frontline army, it may number 10% of that, maybe.
Wow.
Still, granted, I mean that's a significant number, 10 million or 20 million.
Oh, that's enough to colonize the world. I mean, forget about the country. I mean, that's huge. I mean, our active military duty, we're talking about not even 1 million people right now. Am I wrong or right?
Yeah, you're pretty accurate about that. Yes, you're pretty right.
So, I mean, and you know, we've been at the lowest number. This is a fact. Under Obama administration, or regime, as you want to call it, we've been at the lowest number in our military force since before World War II. This is a fact. So, I mean, and forget about also the unilateral disarmament of our nuclear power. I mean, I really believe that we've been sold out in Washington, and this is before Obama. The plan is a long term, but Obama is pretty much finalizing it. And now, let's say, you know, when you have a potential empire, because remember, we had empires all over history, from the Romans, the Greeks, you know, then the British, the French, and the Spaniards, and the American, you know, used to have his 200 years. And now, the point is, the China, the Red Dragon is being waiting for this moment. And they have the economic background, I mean, power, even, of course, they're in crisis too, but it's still nothing compared to what could happen. And the point is they need to expand. They need resources. And I think they have the high moral ground because we've been sold out by our politicians with this debt that is an illusion, but it's still a debt. So when somebody owes you money, when you owe money to somebody, that person has the right in his brain to come to your door and knock their door down if you don't pay. And that's what I'm concerned. We've been set up in this situation. Now, we know very well that there is no more. Just an EMP would pretty much break down everything here, or at least most of it. And then we would go back to World War II style. And what could we do against the 20, 30 millions of organized soldiers? And, you know, we need to prepare now as citizens. That's why what we can do. That's my opinion. That's why I really believe we got to be serious about that. We can't just count on our soldiers out there. Am I too dramatic, or you think maybe I got something that we should really talk about it?
I don't think you're being dramatic at all, Luca, to be perfectly frank.
Because
I've been living my life, believe it or not, I've been living my life like that for over 30 years.
Okay.
Being a Boy Scout and being an Eagle Scout, and I've lived my whole adult life by the Boy Scout motto, be prepared.
Yeah.
But the thing is even though, so there's two things that you have to consider. First of all, if, now this is, granted, this is big if the Chinese were to invade, they would have a significant logistic tail. They're not going to, now, they may have some supplies pre-positioned. There has been speculation, and there has even been some evidence supposedly offered on the internet to substantiate that. But still, they would have a significant logistic tail. And then the second thing is that it is never, that regardless of the military might of the invading force, there has never been an invading force that has totally subjugated a determined indigenous population.
Yeah.
You can check out history.
Yeah, but
that's true.
You know,
I mean, and a good example of that, is Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
Even going back, the British Empire, which at the time in the 19th century, the British Empire was the strongest military force on the face of the planet. It was said at that time that the sun never set on the British Empire. Even the British Empire could not subjugate Afghanistan because the Afghans have always been independent. The Afghanistan and the Afghan people have never been conquered in history. Many foreign forces have tried, and all have failed. The British Empire failed. The Russians failed. The United States failed. China.
Let me tell you one
China failed.
Yeah, but let me tell you one thing. There is a point, though. You're right. You know, if you're determined, if you are a population that, is armed and determined, yes, we can make. But there is a problem here. They're trying very hard from within, first of all, to change the demographics, or at least change I don't even want to know if they can change the DNA, but for sure, look now, the average new American man or guy barely can walk from the refrigerator to the television sometimes. And more important, with these unconstitutional legislations and the United Nations Treaty, there are different ways at state level. They're trying very hard to destroy our Second Amendment. That's what I really think is part of the plan. And that's why they're running a little bit frustrated, because they need to find a way that they can at least get the registrations to all the guns. At least they will know exactly all the gun owners where they are located. But unfortunately, also one thing, this Afghanistan they were talking about, they've been fighting since they were born as a nation. We had a pretty good, the last 60 years, we've been becoming fat. And the new generation is becoming brainwashed, and all they can do is talk about football. So I'm sorry. I hope to be wrong. I hope the American people, the new generation, disprove me. But I really believe that we got to hurry up, because if we are counting on a new generation to defend this country, I'm better off, maybe if we do video games, we have a chance, but not on the real world. Hopefully I'm wrong. That's what I'm trying to say. What do you think about it?
Did you happen to read I did post something early this morning on my Facebook page. I wrote something.
Okay.
Did you happen to read it?
Let me go check. No, talk to me and I'll read it meanwhile. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, you're right. To go back to what you were just saying, you're absolutely correct. As far as preparing and everything, another thing that everybody should start doing is to get in shape. And you're absolutely correct. There are so many people out there that, as you put it, have difficulty walking from the couch to the refrigerator. And I have been saying for a long, long time, turn off the TV, period. But you need to get in shape if you're going to start preparing. If you're at all interested, you need to get in some semblance of physical well-being, because otherwise you're not going to survive. Another thing is, like you were talking about organizing. Yes, it's difficult to get your family and your friends and your neighbors on board, and I too feel the same way as what you said. Is if you find somebody that doesn't want to listen to you, just move on.
Yes.
That's what I've done also.
And Tim, I always say the most important, the first way you organize, it's with yourself. There are no excuses. You as an individual, as a dedicated person, man or woman, or young man or child, I don't care how old you are. If you are able enough to understand this conversation and understand what we're talking about, you can walk and lift 20 pounds with your arms, you're one of us. So the point is, any one of you right now, don't wait for the reinforcement. Don't wait for your neighbors. Don't wait for your family. You can start to do your homework. Don't prepare yourself, because at the end of the day, probably that's the most powerful thing we have, because, any group can be infiltrated. Any group can be much more focused, be individualized. But you as yourself, you can pretty much do what you can to defend this country in the moment of the needs. That's what I say. And then, of course, the best in every military or paramilitary, the DNA of every combat is the duo, two people, the team. Two people is better than one, because after all, you must sleep once in a while. After all, somebody must watch your back. So you don't need to find 20 people out there that will become anyway disaster after all, unless you have a big family that you know each other very well. But even just when you start to find another person like-minded that you can really trust, they could be your brother, could be your father, could be your wife, could be even a long-term friend, and you work together, you train together. And it's no more just than shooting. It's not just about, okay, I should shoot it just a little part of the equation. It's the final part maybe, but you have a lot of things to talk about. In the second part of the hour, I will talk, for example, about medicine and preparation with the herbs. How to cure yourself, how to be able to fix a wound. how to find food, how to able to camouflage, how to able to communicate. There's so many things we must learn. So no wait to have a group and then you start to do your work. Do your work today, get your information and practice. And more important, another thing, Tim, when I go to the range, and I don't go to the range very often, I got my private range, but when I go to the public range, I always see people that they think, they're going for some sort of, just shooting at the target. I never seen them with some sort of basic gear that they can carry the extra ammunition or water or whatever they may need on the field. They don't have that type of attitude. Don't you think it's something we should talk about a little bit? I mean, if we go to the range and shoot at a piece of paper, you think it's just a target, your cigar is enough with you. But when I go to the range or when I go train with whatever rifle I have, I always carry with me my gear according to the caliber I'm using. I have a specific gear, and I want to be sure that gear works, and I want to test it out. Is that something we should, what do you think about that?
I think that's excellent advice.
And also, sound kind of extreme. Sometimes, a couple of people that call me names just because they look at me at the range. I look like, I don't even wear camo, by the way, because I believe the camo, unless you live in the wilderness, if you live in a city, your best camo is to be dressed like a regular person. But let's say you wear comfortable things, you need to have a backup. You need to have a bag where you can carry whatever you need for at least staying out of your home for at least 3 days. Because I always say, I know it sounds like kind of creepy, or maybe people say you're out of your mind, fine. But guess what? You never know when you're coming back home who's waiting for you. Okay? Could be anything. Did you know that now the Interpol, this international police, have jurisdiction and immunity being given by Obama's executive order to arrest any American citizen? You were aware of that?
Yes, I was aware of that, and my opinion about that is they don't have the authority. I don't care what anybody says. They don't have that authority.
I agree with you. They don't have the authority, but in their brain, they have the immunity for sure, according to this unconstitutional executive order. And in the government brain, they think they have the authority. For me, no, there is no authority. But the point is, we must face this reality. And let me give you an example. I'm an American citizen. I burned my passport exactly the day after I became an American, my former Italian passport. So I don't feel like I did commit any crime. But according to the Italian laws, I'm a felon because I insulted on a video, YouTube, the former Italian president, Giorgio Napolitano. For Christmas of 2 years ago, I sent him a DVD where I call him pretty much, I did a little poem about him and his a fascistic law that is being implemented on some journalists. In Italy, there is a law that belongs to the time of Mussolini and before, the time of the king. If you offend the president of the Italian Republic with names, not with the physical threat, just calling him idiots, okay? You can become a felon and spend 5 years in jail, just to give you an idea. So I needed to break the law as fast as I could, and I did that, and I sent them the video to the Quirinale, the White House of the Italian president, and I heard that the video is being very well received, and I've been sarcastic here. So technically, I don't have really a warrant right now, but I know that if I go back to Italy, for example, I would be kind of in little trouble. And even I'm not an Italian, still they may try, because there is in Italy a different system. It's like under Napoleonic system. I don't need to prove, they don't need to prove that I'm guilty. I need to prove that I'm innocent. Think about how different it is. So my bottom line is this. Now, technically, if they really wanted to push the issues, they wanted to send a warrant out there, this is part of the New World Order, they can send the Interpol in the U.S. and arrest any one of us just because in some other country maybe they think that you committed a crime. This is reality. I'm not kidding. What do you think when I drive around in my truck, there is always enough to take care of myself for a few days, and more important, I don't count on my handgun in case I have to face something. My rifle, it's always next to me. I'm not paranoid, but I'm realistic. And that's probably what we should start to think. What if tomorrow really we come back to our homes and we see that there is somebody else out there that we don't recognize waiting for us with rifles? What you're going to do? You're going to put out your handgun out there against the rifle? At least have a plan. That's what I'm saying. Please, I give you the floor, whatever you want to say on the topic. Tim.
Well, I think that's showing wisdom, Luca. You're guaranteed your freedom of speech. I mean, I think you had a right to say what you did about the Italian president. And as far as I'm concerned, it kind of shows that they don't have a sense of humor.
No, they don't. But, that's exactly the problem. And also it's the problem of the American people. We forget sometimes, some of us, not all of us, their rights. The people before us died not to give us these rights, but at least to put them on stone that we have rights. Because the First Amendment, it's here in any human being should be, not just in the American people. But unfortunately, that's the difference. This country, even with all the problems we have and the imperfection we had, is still the best experiment. Because I tell you something, all over Europe, all over the world, there is not really what you call the First Amendment, at least in Europe. In Europe, if I say something that is critical about, I don't know, anybody, even just a religious group or whatever, a person, I can be fined. I can go to jail if I don't pay the fine, okay? And I'm not talking about anything like violent. I'm just talking about my opinion. Now, even worse, when you talk about somebody supposed to be a public servant, like a president, I cannot even call, names. That, first of all, as you said, could be some sort of a sarcasm and some sort of a satire, whatever. But more important, it's about freedom of speech. No, in Italy, you go to jail. And the reality now that this is the new world order, because now they think that pretty much there is no more jurisdiction in your nation, but every nation can pretty much come and get you wherever you are. That's why we got to prepare now. So I say, start with the rifle. Every man, every woman should be a rifleman. That's the tool we have. I don't care which rifle, but you want to know your rifle. Qualify as a rifleman. That means don't just shoot just a paper targets 100 yards. Work with the minutes of angles. Learn from everybody you can. We were talking about the Appleseed project. Start with that. Then, as the team was saying, go further. Go all the way you can. If you can, also learn the art of reloading. Otherwise, stock up with ammo. And don't stock up just, when you think I got $200, 200 rounds, that's your size. I'm talking about thousands. Every rifle, in my opinion, should have at least 20,000 rifle. I know for me, the rifle, when the barrel is going to be gone, means that there was enough ammo. What is your standard for each rifle? How many rounds would you like to have in an ideal world?
In an ideal world, I believe that you can't have too much ammo.
Exactly, that's the right answer.
It's kind of like money in the bank. You can't have too much.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I always say, but also try to organize your places. Do not put all your stuff in the same place. And if you can, separate also the ammo from the rifles. In case somebody gain access to the ammo, they don't have access to the weapons. They can use them against you. So start to think in these terms. Don't just think about you going to the range, you hit your target, you're fine. No. And also, the gear. Start to organize gear. That is not just shooting gear. Of course, you need to carry your ammo, but also survival gears. How do you carry your water? For example, Tim, what is your best way to carry water when you go to the range or you go train?
I believe in stainless steel water bottles. It's interesting that we're talking about this because I don't normally do this, but I wanted to maybe give some of your listeners a heads up because hopefully to generate some interest in my website.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be publishing an article that I've been working on for quite some time now and it's going to be in two parts, and I'm going to publish the first part. I haven't published an article for a couple of months on my website because I've had computer problems for the last month and a half. But anyway, that's my issue. It's neither here nor there. I'm going to be publishing an article. The first part is going to be a basic survival kit, and it's based on my experiences in life in the Marine Corps, in the Boy Scouts. I've been, even though I've never been to combat, I've been in survival situations. I've been in life or death situations in my life, and I've learned a few things. And so I decided to write about that, and like I said, it's going to be in two parts. And the first part is going to be a basic survival kit. And that's one of the things that I go into in the article is that I believe in, I carry my water in stainless steel water bottles. As a matter of fact, I use them every day on a daily basis for my lunch that I take with me to work. I don't buy my lunch when I go to work. I'm a typical construction worker. Construction workers always bring their lunch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they always carry their lunch. And so it's second nature to me to, if I leave home, to take water with me, and, you know, even if when I go to range to go shooting, I'll take a sandwich, or maybe just something like a couple pieces of food and a couple of hard-boiled eggs or something like that if I plan on staying there all day. And I'll bring my water, my stainless water bottles. Okay. And there are a couple sources for that. You want to make sure that the metal is food grade stainless steel. There's one website that I found last year, and like you say, I don't get I don't derive any financial benefit from mentioning any websites in particular, but I will mention this one, and I believe they're actually located in Oregon. I'm pretty sure about that, and they're called, the name of the company is Clean Canteen, both spelled with a K. K-L-E-A-N-K-E-A-T-E-N. Clean Canteen. Or K-A-N-T-E-A-N.
Perfect.
Clean Canteen.
Clean Canteen.
And yes, and I have a few of their products. They're excellent. They, like I said, they're food-grade stainless steel bottles, and the caps are PVA-free, food-grade, virtually indestructible plastic.
Wow.
So I recommend this instead of these, what I refer to as newfangled hydration bladders, because those things are just made out of, first of all, they're made out of plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I really question the quality of the plastic that are used in those things. And second is in a stressful situation in a combat environment, I don't see how those things couldn't develop a leak really quick, and then you're SOL.
Yeah, no, it's true. They for sure they could be at least damaged, but there are different ways, guys. Whatever works for you, but water is the most important thing. We cannot function without water. And that's why I always like to put in my little backpack when I leave for town to town, even just for a few hours. I have my little backpack that I have at least there a canteen with water. That's the bottom line, because you never know. Let's say you're in the middle of a run and you're fighting or whatever. You may be thirsty, and you need to have that. This time is getting short. Before I leave, I would like to say one thing. Speaking about places where you can buy stuff, another place, if you have a K47 style pattern rifle or SKS and you shoot 7.62 by 39, this week I found a very good deal on 7.62 by 39. Tula ammo, Russian production, full metal jacket, polymer coated steel case, 122 grains, 1,000 round for $219, cheaper than dirt. Okay, and of course, guys, if you reload, do your reload. But according to the market, what I was able to find this week, it's a decent deal. And $220 for 1,000 round. Of course, 10 years ago used to be half this price, but now these are the time. Listen, Tim, I want to thank you. Please give your website one more time where people can reach you and can also buy your books. Go ahead.
My websites are 1776men.com. That's 1776men.com, and Tim Siewert LLC.com. But just you don't have to remember Tim Siewert LLC. Just remember 1776men.com, because it'll get you everywhere.
Perfect.
And I would like to also say, you mentioned CDNN. I have had personal dealings with that company in Texas. They're in Texas, and I recommend them because if you want to buy magazines for any firearm, any semi-automatic firearm that's out there, with the exception of a few firearms that are older, that have long since been out of production, they don't have magazines for them. But all current firearms and recently manufactured firearms that take a magazine, CDNN has the best prices that I've found anywhere.
Perfect.
And they have like for handguns, they sell Mekgar magazines, which are, I'm sure you know, Italian made. And Mekgar has been making magazines. They've been in business for over 100 years. They are the OEM manufacturer for many brands like Kimber and Springfield Armory and several others. They manufacture magazines for those for many pistols.
Yes,
semi-automatic pistols.
I need to go. The time is close. It's short. Guys, don't go away because we're going to go for our number 3 and we will talk about interesting things about preparation, medicine.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles...
Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Lucas Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. This is the final hour about love. You know, I like in this hour to touch different things. We went the last couple of weeks from Kama Sutra to different type of things like jealousy. And, of course, we had a couple of weeks ago also a great lady I really enjoy. And we were trying to make the point pretty much about all the different dangers that we are now surrounded and under attack by, in my opinion, a global plan to pretty much destroy humanity. And we talk about that from, you know, the estrogen in the meat and to the fluoride in the water, GMO food, vaccines, just as some generic but pretty much, you know, a wide vision of what's going on. And then, of course, I wanted to invite you guys, to, after I gave you the keywords, to do researches. Now, the first thing for me to fix a problem is to acknowledge that we have a problem. And at this point, if you acknowledge that we have a problem, that we are under attack at different levels, not just economically, not just, you know, morally, from these globalists, but also in our health, you know, we must find solution. And this is pretty much my purpose of the show, to invite, to explore new solutions, to try to think out of the box. And that's why I brought back today with me this incredible lady. Her name is Kat Ellis from the East Coast, and she's also an author. You know, she's a professional in at least researching and putting together all the information when it comes down to find natural cures. Okay, so, and I want to give like a little premise, as I do every time, for all the FDA bootlickers out there. I'm not trying to give any medical advice, and not even Kat, even I don't speak for her. We're here just to give you pretty much information and do your own verification. And my main goal is try to empower you to think with your own brain and find solutions. And today I want to bring you the solution with this book that I have in front of me, authored by Kat Ellis, and the name of the book is Prepper's Natural Medicine. Let me bring Kat here. Kat, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming back. You know, I really found more than me, I'm pretty much, in my opinion, counts very much little. A lot of listeners, they enjoyed the conversation we had a few weeks ago about the different dangers of this conspiracy, if you want to do it, about the different elements in the water, in the food, in the air, blah, blah, blah. Now, today, I want to focus with you about your book. Tell me everything you want to tell me about your book. Start again with the name. Please, go ahead.
Okay, so this book, this is sort of the bridge here between my herbalist life and my prepper life. I guess that was sort of something that was always bound to happen. Those two worlds were crossed. But what I wanted to accomplish with this book is to provide to provide a resource to show people how to make medicines with things they can grow right in their own backyard, to empower people to do so. And I wanted to write it in such a way that they would feel completely confident in doing so. I mean, I think back to when I first started working with herbs and some of the questions that I had pop up when I would read books and things I just didn't quite understand. I would read the description of it, and it just didn't quite click, or explanations weren't given, or there was an assumption that people reading it already sort of knew some of it, or, so I kind of was thinking about that. I'm like, if people need to learn skills for, let's say, at some time where perhaps maybe the medical system fails for whatever reason, that they have some kind of a backup. But they should feel confident in being able to do so and start working with these skills right now, because the time to learn new skills really is not after the crisis takes place. It's beforehand, so that, it's more of a smooth transition. But I gave everyone the information that they need to learn how to make medicines at home out of what they can grow on their own. They should not, if they have questions, they can also get in touch with me very easily to my website, and I'm happy to answer any question whatsoever about the material that's in there. So the book takes you through a skills section, and I have a very conversational tone in the book, so it should be very easy to understand. And I take you through, what the various terminology means, so that we're all on the same page, so that there's no unfamiliar jargon as the book continues. And I tell you exactly how to make an infusion, a decoction, herbal vinegars, and how to make tinctures, and I explain all of it, so that when we get to the middle part of the book there, which is a materia medica, which is a listing of therapeutic agents. In this case, it happens to be herbs. And I picked 50 of them that grow in most places around the country. And I did that because I wanted this to be applicable to most people. Now, if you happen to live, in the outskirts of Alaska, this may not work for you, but if you happen to live in other places with an extreme climate, you probably have other local herbs that I didn't include, but you might have some that easily swap out. There almost always is. But these should be accessible all over the country. You should be able to grow them. Perfect. And I focused on these also as opposed to wildcrafting or going out and, looking for them, because every region in the country has a little different wildlife, and honestly, I think that would be better for either another book or a series of books or something like that. But this was so that everybody could have, this would apply to the most people. And then after that, I should say in that section, I go through a description of what the herbs' therapeutic benefits are, and I list the ways that they're made, whether it's usually taken as a tincture, whether it's usually taken as a tea, what parts of the plant you use, and what the dosage would be. I thought that was very important to include, because that's something that I saw missing from a lot of other books that I read when I got started. Was, well, it's great that, cayenne may be able to help you with pain management, but, how do you take it? How do you apply it? If you are going to take a tea for some type of a respiratory infection, then how often do you take that every day? How much of it do I have to have? So I wanted to include dosage. I included 3 different ways that you can calculate dosage for children, because they have different they have a different dosage requirement. And I included after that a section on with recipes. And within this, I have some that focus on like first aid in acute injuries. I have another section on chronic injuries in general, family, and, general health care. And I do have a short section in there that is involved with birth, because even during a crisis, birth is not going to stop. I mean, if suddenly we had civil unrest tomorrow, people who are 8 months pregnant a month from now are still going to be delivering babies. Mm. So, that probably also needs its own separate treatment, but I wanted to at least include some of the basics for that. And then the book concludes with a whole resource section where I've got charts that break it down for the, pain relievers, anti-inflammatories, various antibacterial, antiviral agents, and so on, and where you can get the supplies, where you can get further training. So there is something, I think in this book, pretty much, I think, for everyone, whether you're a beginner or whether maybe you've got a little bit more experience. But what I wanted to make sure is that the information was really easy to understand and it was clear, so that when you're done going through it, however you want to use it, you can read it from beginning to end. You can jump around through sections just for what's relevant to you, but that everyone, when they picked it up, would feel confident that they understood what they read and be able to use herbal medicine safely. That was the whole goal there.
Perfect. Let me give you a break so you can rest for a moment. And now let me I agree with you. First of all, it's, by the way, I have in front of me a copy that I voluntarily order on Amazon. I really like to support authors, especially when they have something good to share. I think this book is very valuable because I believe, forget the emergency. I like to enjoy nature and use natural remedies, whenever I can, because, if I have things that, like, for example, let's say an inflammation, okay, I try to stay avoid from antibiotic. I have many times in the past, for example, some inflammatory part of my mouth, like an abscess, and I use, for example, propolis, and it did an incredible job, and I didn't need to go to the dentist, and I didn't need to go to get antibiotics. So I really believe in this, and I was lucky when I was a child. I was in Italy. I grew up on my grandfather's farm, okay? And somehow my family, especially my grandmother then, she had a book. It was the herbs of this Frate Indovino. It's like a monk. And he wrote this beautiful manual with all different, drawings and the different herbs and the different way to use them. And I was probably about 6. I was just able to read barely at the time. And I was so excited about these images and the idea that you could heal yourself with nature. And I started to, study, at least do experiments. I used to do my different infusion with different herbs to be calm or to relax or to get strength. I was really kind of like a 7 years old. I was kind of an alchemist pretty much. But now I really believe, especially in the times that we are living, your book is an essential tool to have in every library, and I agree with you. It's written very easily. Even a guy with an accent like myself, I didn't really have any, official schools degree here in this country, but I can read it every word, and I like the way you divided it because, for example, at the end, you go into different type of problems, like, for example, or even better, solution, antimicrobial, antispasmodic, and different type of solutions that you pretty much write down in alphabetical orders with the herbs. Now, to start to inspire people to keep things simple and start to really, everybody can do it. If you can, let's say, 5 basic plants that they should almost be a must. If I had to, there are so many plants. Like, for example, right now I have vases. I have a greenhouse and I have around my kitchen a lot of vases, and I keep my sage, I keep my garlic, I keep my thyme, and my basil, all the different herbs that normally I cook with. If I had to think about 5 plants or 5 herbs that I would use in most daily situations for this type of purpose, like a natural medicine, what would you suggest?
Oh, narrowing me down to 5 of this stuff, but I'm going to give this a shot here. So The first one that comes to mind is peppermint, because this is so versatile, can be used for so many things, more than I can even possibly list. You get so much use out of peppermint. It tastes good. You can use it to flavor other herbal concoctions that may not taste so good. Kids will take it readily. It's wonderful for respiratory infections. It's wonderful to settle the stomach. It's wonderful if, even if you have, intestinal issues going on. It can help cool the skin down if you've got a bad fever going on. Well, it's not always a great idea to cool down a fever, but if it gets too high and it's getting out of control, then peppermint can step in. It helps to prevent rodents from getting into your house. They don't like it. They don't want anything to do with it. And rats and mice bring disease. I know there's some people keep them as pets, but out in the wild, we still have plague out here, in some places in the west of the United States, and they're brought on by rodents. So, and other viruses like Hanta and so on. So, it repels mice, it repels rodents, it repels ants, it can be, repels mosquitoes, so it's just so useful, and it smells nice to us, and, that's a must, and it grows so easily. I mean, trying to keep it contained is more of an issue than, trying to get it to grow. So peppermint's got to be the first.
I agree with you, and by the way, it's funny because I have exactly the same problem, not even a problem, I think it's a good thing. I have a big vase that it keeps growing every season. I don't even need to replant it.
Mm-hmm.
Peppermint is there. I like to cook with peppermint, by the way. And I agree with you. Another important thing I found out, I live in a rural area, and I learned this a few years ago, for example, especially if you have the oil essence of peppermint, and you can spread it on you. Not only you keep away mosquitoes, but also more important, spiders don't like it, and I hate to sleep. I go sometimes in the wilderness, a little bit out there, and, there are different type of spiders here, especially in Arizona. We got black widows, we got, the spider wolves or whatever, and I did an experiment. One time I captured like a couple little, black widows, and I got a little bit of cotton full of peppermint, okay, and I put them into this bottle and in this glass container, and they stay the hell away from it, and seriously, they really hate it. So this is good, you sleep in the night, and if you have a place where you are maybe surrounded by spiders, that would be pretty dangerous and freaky. So I always put my little peppermint oil on me.
Yes. And the thing is that if you want to even get into this to the level where you're making and distilling your own essential oils, it's really not, you really need a huge amount of plant material in most cases to get a little bit of oil. But peppermint has a lot of the volatile oils in the leaf. So if there were one oil that would be a really good candidate to make your own essential oils at home, peppermint would be on that list. Mm-hmm. Another herb that I would also include would be thyme, because it is antiviral and it's antibiotic, especially for the respiratory system.
Wow.
So if you do a nice herbal steam with that, you're breathing that right into your respiratory system. It's wonderful, no matter whether it's a bacterial or a viral infection. And also for disinfecting, it also has a lot of the volatile oil in there. So if you did want to get into distilling essential oils, it's kind of a complicated thing, but if you did, thyme would be another good suggestion. Garlic has to be on there for both its anti-infective properties, its immune-stimulating properties, but also for its heart healthy qualities. It's a vasodilator. It's known for being a heart-healthy food. So this is, I guess, where food and herbalism, is it medicinal? Is it, just a culinary herb? It kind of blurs with garlic, but it's a wonderful plant to have around. I think if you're eating a lot of cooked garlic, you should have a fairly healthy heart. It's one of those components of, I guess the Mediterranean diet is part of that. There's a lot of garlic consumed, and if you have it raw or if you have it made, let's say, into an herbal vinegar, that can help, with your immune system. And if you apply it topically, it's a wonderful antibiotic when used in that way. So garlic is a definite must-have on that list. So that's 3 of them.
One second, Kat. Only 1 second. I'd like to 1 second to refresh people's mind. Think about, guys. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to have a farm. I mean, with vases, it's certain time that, flowers are beautiful. Don't get me wrong, I like flowers too, but prioritize. With vases, you can start to get a vase full of peppermint. Very simple. Then you have another one with thyme. That, by the way, it's great to cook too. You enjoy it. Garlic is so simple to grow garlic. I mean, Kat, you want to give them the idea how it's so simple to grow garlic? I mean, how do you grow garlic, Kat?
You put it in the ground before the winter, and then you pull it up in the spring, and it's wonderful. You can also put it in the ground in the spring and pull it up in the fall. You really don't have to do a lot to it.
Just get a single cloves. You buy, first of all, the good source. Find a good organic garlic, okay? Don't get GMO stuff.
Yeah.
When you got a good source, instead of planting the whole garlic in the ground, you get each clove, and you put it in the ground, of course, in the right direction. You can see pretty much where is the green is going to come out. Anyway, and then at this point you give water, and you will see how much beautiful out of each clove you will have a garlic. And this is true, by the way. My grandfather, from my mother's side, he died, was almost 90s, and he was doing great till he went to a doctor, unfortunately, to an hospital. But regardless, his blood levels, his cholesterol, and he used to eat everything. He was doing great, and one of the things he always had in his diet, he used to have a lot of garlic during the day and also red wine. That's one thing I tell you, and it's true. I mean, and sometimes, people that are on this medication, I'm not going to give you any medical advice. Go to your doctor if you want. It's up to you. But think about all the side effects you have with all these anti-cholesterol medications. Is it really worth it? I don't know. I would first explore, if I had a cholesterol problem, I would first explore the opportunity to cure myself with diet before you go all these medications that really are so dangerous, by the way, my opinion. But please continue now. So we have a peppermint, garlic, and thyme. What's next?
The next thing I would say would be cayenne. And cayenne contains something called capsaicin. And capsaicin is known for interrupting, it's called substance P. It's a neurotransmitter that sends information from the nerves up to the brain and lets the brain know, oh, there's pain here. So you can get cayenne and you can make this into a salve, and you can work this into a site where there's nerve damage, where there's been where you've got some neuralgia, or you can use it over where there's been sore muscles. You can use cayenne internally. You can make a tincture out of this. You can then take this or in an herbal vinegar if you prefer that. And it will also, it's a wonderful vasodilator, and it brings circulation to the extremities. So it brings it out to the fingertips, out to the toes, and so on. And this is wonderful for people who may have some poor circulation, but also it's like I said, it's a vasodilator if you have high blood pressure. Now, doctors won't tell you, well, that cayenne is a vasodilator and it's good for high blood pressure. What they'll tell you is if you go for surgery and they ask you, you want any medications or you take any supplements, you say, well, I take cayenne either in capsules or you take, the extract or however you take it. They'll tell you, well, you need to stop that 2 weeks before your surgery because there's a risk of bleeding. Because why? Because it's a vasodilator and because it helps to thin the blood and because it helps it helps decrease the clotting factors. All those same reasons that you take, blood pressure medication for. So they can say it when it's a negative, presented in that way, but they can't, but they won't, acknowledge it when it's a positive. So, so anyway, it's an interesting thing. So for helping with both high blood pressure, which is one of, those really chronic illnesses here, and also bringing it to the extremities is important for people with diabetes, and and also for handling pain throughout the body, whether it's a muscle injury or whether it's nerve injury. So finally, the last one is going to vary by where you are in the United States, but there is an herb in every part of the United States that contains this substance, and the substance is berberine. And, if you live in the South or the Southwest, you might find it in chaparral. You might find it it's also called creosote out there. Or you might find it in a plant called algarita if you're in the Northwest. or in other places you might find it as Oregon grapefruit. You might find it elsewhere as golden seal, although that plant is endangered. Out here on the East Coast, we can get something called the amber cork tree, or Philodendron amaranth, and that's actually an invasive plant here, but everywhere throughout the United States. You just have to kind of look up at your region and search for an herb that contains berberine, because berberine will act. It's a local antibiotic. It's not systemic, but it's a local antibiotic, so you can apply it to wounds externally. You could make it into a tincture and put it into a spray and spray on your throat. It might, help if you have something like strep throat. If you have any kind of stomach or intestinal infection, because when you take it, the berberine doesn't pass through the intestinal wall, so it stays there. So it's good for things like an intestinal infection, but it won't get into the bloodstream and become systemic. So if you do have some type of stomach bug, you could certainly take it for that. It is a bitter. All of these herbs are bitter, so they help with the liver. But more so than that, there was a study done. It was a 3-month trial where berberine was given in a capsule form, 500 milligrams, 3 times a day, right before the meal.
How do you spell this name, berberine? How do you spell it?
It's in the book, but it's spelled berberine, B-E-R-I-N-E.
Berberine. Page 56.
So,
page 56. You're right. Page 56. Berberine.
Right.
Okay, it's an alkaloid.
Right, and it's found in a number of different herbs, but it's this one. It's a chemical constituent that gives it a yellow color and a bitter taste. And there was a study done. It was done over 3 months, where it was compared to metformin, and the results were that it was shown to be just as effective as metformin for managing spikes in blood sugar, blood glucose after a meal, and there were no negative side effects found, but there were actually several positive side effects found that they weren't expecting. Some of those included a lowering of overall cholesterol, a better balance between HDL and LDL cholesterol. There was lowering of liver inflammation in those who had it's called fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and it's an inflammation, and there's enzymes that are overactive in there. So there was a lowering of that, and there was a lowering of triglycerides, which are fat in the blood. So there was a whole bunch of metabolic benefits, in addition to the fact that it was shown to be just as effective as metformin, which is the number 1 type 2 diabetic medication prescribed in the country. So there were no negative side effects. It doesn't have that effect like when you take an antibiotic, where it kills off the good bacteria too. It actually restrains. There was a study done in China showing that it restrains the more harmful bacteria, and it actually strengthens the gut wall. So all those autoimmune diseases that are connected to leaky gut would benefit from the addition of berberine. So sort of like peppermint, how there's so many uses for it. Any herb that contains berberine, whatever grows most easily in your area, I'd be looking at that.
Very good. Yes, I was reading, by the way, it's something that, I really think it's so important, because as you said, even if you don't have the specific herb there are different solutions where you can find this element, depends which part of the world you live. And, another thing about diabetes, especially now, people that maybe you're on medication, you think you have your doctor and you got your prescription, that's fine. But think about if there is an emergency. Think if there is a real catastrophe. Think if you don't have any more access to the basic things that now you do. Things I really believe with diet, first of all, could be a lot of, I'm not doctor, as I said, but I see what people drink every day. And if you drink let's say 4 cans every day, or even a couple of cans every day, or whatever type of sodas you drink with all this corn syrup, it's proven that just this quantity of this corn syrup or sugar, whatever you get in your system, with time, it may really gives you the chance, and I'm being sarcastic here, to become diabetes, at least the type of diabetes that is created by food. It's it's not genetic. So right there, that could be treated in a natural way. And there are natural herbs that really could help you out. I used to get, I don't have diabetes, but I like to get in coffee, normally when I get my coffee, a little spice that, I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a red color, cinnamon. Have you ever heard about that?
Yes. And cinnamon is, that's very useful for a number of things, from making things taste nicer, but also, if you take it in quantity of it, it'll also help with, blood glucose and managing it, and, it's also lovely to help with a sore throat.
Mm-hmm. So there are things out there. Of course, if you really have some genetic problem, like real diabetes, you may find other solution. But I really believe that many of our diseases, they could be taken care of with the right diet, and of course, with the nature, really could give us a great help to avoid all these chemical things. By the way, I really like the book is like a manual. It's paper. I bought the paperback, and I like it that it's something you can put in your backpack or wherever you go. It's like very practical. Okay, it's nothing fancy. We're not talking about something this is like a real practical, useful book, okay, that you can consult in a very easy way. How long did it take you to write it down, Kat?
I worked on this, there was about 8 months.
Okay.
Total.
I know that takes time. I'm trying to write books. There are always some distractions. When I write songs, I kind of fast. Books are kind of a big commitment, but I like it. So I want to just say, out there, guys, I like to, in the show, to bring you, first of all, awareness. We have a lot of problems around us, but I also believe we still have a lot of power to create our own microcosm, to control at least our own little world, and to find solutions. And one of the best way to say, pretty much to give the middle fingers to the enemies, is to find the way to be healthy, to be independent, and to be happy. And I think, we still have access to plants. Let's start to at least learn, at least start to try to slowly to trim down all the different things that we get from big pharma and start to find natural solution. For example, let's say people have, small things, you're stressed out, you come back from work, you have a lot of problems, bills to pay, and many times people go, okay, let me go get this antidepressant, let me get this drug that's gonna keep me calm. There are out there so many solutions naturally they can give you the type of relief from stress. Give me one if you can, Kat.
My favorite would be for daytime would be rhodiola, because it's not gonna make you drowsy, but it just helps keep everything in its proper perspective. Things don't take on more significance than they should. It's an adaptogen, and it helps just for you it helps you adapt to stress. That's specifically what an adaptogen is. It helps you adapt to stress. So when someone is loaded with stress through their daily lives, they just sort of, when they take the rhodiola, they just kind of have this sort of sense of being, at peace, more well-being. They're not tired. They're not hyped up. They're just more even and grounded. Probably grounded is probably the best word. They feel, lighter, but they feel more centered and just okay. Like I can handle this. And honestly, that's the mindset that we have to have when we're facing, the bombardment of nonsense that comes on the television. We shouldn't be watching television half the time anyway. Yeah. But let's just do all the commercials and the advertising and the programming, literally programming. Yeah. Establishing this is the norm, this is the normal, this is what everyone should be doing and taking and eating and drinking and this and that. But beyond that, but the bills and the kids and the work and the boss and this and that. So if we can just kind of, not feel so stressed out, because people start to feel like a rubber band being pulled at either end, and it starts to fray in the middle, like it's going to snap anytime soon. And this is not the way we're supposed to walk around in life. We have these stress hormones, like cortisol, that serve a very important function. They're our fight or flight response. This is like, oh, I'm being chased by, a bear. I need to react. It's that kind of a thing. But then once you're done, the stressful event is over and you're supposed to calm down. But our modern stresses are not like that. They don't go away. There is no point where you get to just calm down. And especially in the United States, where we have this concept of work, and, we don't build in any time during the day to just stop and pause for a moment and let that stress calm down. And, people may laugh at that. I used to get a lot of resistance in my massage practice, when I would tell people you need to build in some time during the day where you just relax.
Yeah.
And they're like, people here, I guess, have this sort of a badge of courage or something, or a badge of honor that they work so many hours. But your stress hormones are changing you. Your stress hormones are causing problems because they're not supposed to course through your bloodstream 24/7. They will interrupt your sleep. They will cause you aches and pains. They will cause you to feel fatigued. They will cause you to have an altered mood. You're not supposed to be in that state all the time. And when you are, you're not that is not the best frame of mind to be making important decisions or to, feel like you can handle those everyday stresses, never mind when something major happens.
Yes.
Because then you're just burnt out at that point.
Exactly. I tell you, I come from a place that normally people at lunch, at least they used to, I'm talking about 18 years ago when I left, have a break. It's called lunch. Everybody goes back home, or at least you have a moment that you really stop, okay? And maybe, I remember when I was a kid, my family, after lunch, there was also an hour to sleep, and then they all go back to their stores and almost like another world. And I really realized I've been myself the last few years kind of in the trap that there is like a non-stop. And I realize now that I'm trying to pretty much take care a little bit more about myself, Instead of stretching and non-stop for 8 hours or 10 hours, normally I work even 12 hours, I like to really take a break, and stop everything, turn the phone off, and start to let the stress go, whatever it is, and start to just relax. And you will see that also you see everything from a different perspective. Otherwise, you're almost always focusing just to almost the tunnel vision, and you miss the big picture. And not only is bad for your health, but also I think it's bad for your soul, it's bad for your, as a human being, you miss the big picture of what we're doing here. We're not just here to make a buck. We are going through this journey called life, but there is more than just working and, making a dollar. There is also something else. Now, what I want to say, what I like about this book is not just about what you can drink or infusion, but also what I like, you also make very interesting solution, like, for example, tinctures, and also different powder, especially for people that could be, as you said, prepping in a world that may be not a doctor. Let's say you have a wound, like a cut, or even just some sort of a trauma. So what I like, guys, if you're a prepper, or if you are a person that anyway live in the wilderness, and you may not have access, even now, you don't need to wait for the end of the world, to a extreme situation. Like, let's say, for example, I was looking at this wound powder antibacterial, or there is also this wound wash. This is amazing stuff. It really could save your life, in my opinion, at least to have this knowledge and to have the ingredients ready. Because, you don't want to have just the book and then you're going to start to read the book when somebody is bleeding in front of you or is sick, okay? Try to at least some basic preparation. And one more thing I want to say. I would like you to remind the website where people can contact you. So if they have any question, please go ahead.
Yes, my website is herbalprepper.com, and I have a contact form right on the website. It's down in the footer. I have a contact page. It's easy to spot. So if you have any questions about anything that's in the book, or if or anything that's on the website, just fire me off an email, and I try to get back to people, relatively within a couple of days, relatively soon, and I try to answer everybody individually.
Perfect. Listen, I want to thank you again, Kat, and I want to say, guys, seriously, for me the purpose of this show is to bring you valuable information, because at the end of the day, more prepared we are as a community, and more we can face together what's coming. But all starts with the individual, so don't wait for somebody else to do their part. You do your own part, and all together we can be prepared. That's my goal. And I also want to remind you, this show is an act of love, okay? I bring here people that I really believe they could be valuable with information to you, and they're not even my sponsors. You, the listener, are my sponsor if you want me to stay on the air. So if you think that this information is valuable, I want you to help me. You can go to any of my websites, and today I can offer you like Zanna.us, ZANNA.us. And you know what I do for a living? I write songs. You can go to any of my website. You can download any of my songs for just 99 cents. And just even with 99 cents, you can keep the show free, independent, and I can keep bringing you great guests like Kat Ellis. Kat, thank you very much. I give you a virtual hug to you. And meanwhile, I keep studying your book, okay?
All right, thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Don't go away, because now we have the final part of hour number 3, the final hour.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid,
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Okay, guys, this is the final part of the today's show, the final hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. This show is about love and guns and freedom. This is the hour. Normally, I talk pretty much about love. Today, we talk about this great guest, regarding preparation, medical preparation from herbs. But normally, I would talk here about different things, like more related to love. Today, there is some sort of bad news that you already heard during the week. This act of madness and hate crime, I would like to say it. This psychopath that pretty much who shot this journalist, these reporters, allegedly. Allegedly, why? Because I don't really know. At this point, I think it's good to have a final investigation what happened. Even, of course, the news already gave us the final solution, the final package news. I don't know for sure. I've been watching this Virginia shooting with this black shooter who pretty much hated white, I understand. He had some problems, racial problems. By the way, he was also an Obama supporter. Let's not forget that. And he was considered a liberal. So, if you want to, why I don't mention all these things? If it was a white man, it was a conservative white man, it would be pretty much on the front line, on the headlines. But regardless, I don't know really exactly what happened down there. All I know that what I see on video for sure raises some questions. I don't really see blood. I don't see shells. I don't see any impact when this lady, she was shot. The reporter was shot by this shooter, alleged shooter. Normally, even a 9mm would do some sort of impact, and you will see a concussion. You will see something, flesh, blood, something. I didn't see anything moving. Seriously. There is also, from the point of view, the camera point of view, you will see that maybe different lighting, but the color of the jacket is different. The hand color is different. But I don't want to go in this conspiracy right now because I don't have all the information I would like to have. But for sure, one thing I want to say. The bodies are still warm, and the first thing comes out in the media, parents, the parent of this alleged woman was shot, and of course, all the administration and politicians like the Clinton and the Obama administration, they couldn't wait 1 second to start to push for more gun legislation or gun restrictions. I mean, this is so sad, because they really think that we are so stupid. I said many times, I don't care if 99.9% of the people out there commit a crime. I cannot be, you cannot be, we individuals cannot be penalized and punished for somebody else's misbehavior or criminal behavior. That's the most important thing. Because today, let's say last night, how many people died of DUI because of negligence or criminal behavior of somebody who was drinking and driving? I'm sure more than one, probably thousands. Go to look at the statistics. So that's a fact. Are we going to, forbid and outlaw all beverages, alcoholic beverages, because somebody doesn't know how to drive and without drinking? No, that's the point. So same story with guns. I will never accept any type of such behavior. Now, talking about guns, I don't want to spend much time on this one. I know their games. We know their games. They will try to use every crisis, no matter if it's real or if it's been fabricated, to try to destroy our Second Amendment. And, if you heard me during the second hour, we were talking about guns. I really think this is the final plan for the elite to disarm the American people, because to become complete slaves, to take over our properties, to take over our pensions, and also to allow foreign enemies to conquer us, we must be disarmed. So this administration is continuing the plan, and there is still little time before he leaves office. If he will leave office, we'll see. But the point is, that's what exactly they're trying to do. Now, so all I can say, they can scream and yell, they can do whatever they want. I will not comply with any unconstitutional, with any illogical, more important, with any type of fascistic laws that restricts my gun rights. Okay? Now, talking about guns, I'm supposed to have right now also a guest, a lady, who is a Facebook friend of mine. I thought, she was she's a smart lady in many areas. No, she wasn't. She's a smart lady in many areas. And, but, I'm supposed to be here in the hour of love and talk about some topics. But she told me that in a conversation before the interview that, she was kind of shocked a little bit and disturbed by my displaying guns, okay, in my Facebook pages. And, I said that's fine, as a fine. And so what happened, I just posted on Facebook, without mentioning her name. Of course, I would never do that. I wanted to keep her privacy. I posted this little letter that I had pretty much good feedback from different friends. And the letter says that, a Facebook friend told me that she's kind of intimidated by my displaying of guns. I have not the ambition to please everybody, and I respect her taste, of course. But all I can say to this lady, do not look at my post. But I would like to articulate some logic and also some input about this matter. And also say, by the way, don't look at my post, and if you feel like it, maybe you should also reconsider our friendship. But more important, I wanted to give her some logic. Number one, my dear friend, or former friend, since now you block me, I guess, just because I posted this on my Facebook page. Number one, I do carry a gun, not because I am afraid, but because I made a conscious decision to do not be afraid. And I'm ready to stand against evil if I have to. So that's the most important thing. I do not carry a gun because I'm afraid of anything. No. I carry a gun because I decided that I do not want to be afraid, and I'm ready to risk my life if I have to face evil. That's the bottom line. Number two, I do carry a gun not as a symbol of violence, but a symbol of freedom and peace. Yes, people say, what are you talking about? The gun is to kill. No, the gun is also an instrument to save lives, and more important, instrument to keep yourself free. Slaves throughout history of humanity had always one thing in common. They were all disarmed. That's very important. So for me, the gun is a tool of freedom. Number three, I do carry a gun because it's like garlic on a vampire. It helped me out to spot a liberal before I can smell it. And I don't even want to call it liberal, because the true meaning of liberal means liberty. You're a fascist, you're a statist. That's what you are. So I can smell you. The gun helped me out to spot you out before even I can smell your stench. That's the bottom line. Sorry to be rude, but that's the fact. It really does. If I go in a room, if I go in a place, and I'm open carry, I can spot out the fascist out there that doesn't like me with a gun just because he or she thinks so, before even I can smell them. So that's great. And to conclude, the gun is like a hammer. You can use it to build a house or to destroy a skull. You can use a gun to take a life or to save a life. It is the person behind the gun who makes the difference. So now I hope I made clear my position on guns, but at the end of the day, I do not really care if you like it, my gun or not. My Second Amendment right is not for debate. It is not for a popularity contest. And yes, I can. Lucas Zanna. I posted this on Facebook, and it was good. I had a good feedback from different people. Everybody was saying whatever they were saying. Mostly, I say 99.99%. I think all of them, my friends, they like what I said, but that's fine. And I hope always somebody doesn't like what I say. That's great. But the problem was that I didn't even mention the name of this lady, because there is no reason to mention her name. It's my personal, private conversation we had. But of course, she unfriended me and blocked me, like whatever. Okay, maybe that's, I like guns now even more, because if we can have a debate or talking about important things like this, maybe we must find out each other better who we are. Now, this is pretty much a different show, this part of the end of the part. I would like to remind you, first of all, this show is free for you, but, I work hard for this show, and I'm not counting on any commercial sponsors. I count on your help. If you want to keep this show free and keep this format that we can talk about everything and talking about topics that normally many commercial radio stations you couldn't, please go to my website, or one of my websites, www.zanna.com. You can buy anything you see on that site, from 99 cents to any of my songs, or buy CDs, or buy one of my prints. I appreciate it. This way I can keep this show free. Now, also another important thing, don't forget, I had a great contest that is running, the time is running out, okay, is the contest that you are allowed, you have the one winner will be the lucky person to win a free diamond membership at Frontside Nevada. $15,000 value. I am offering it. This is not Frontside sponsor. I am offering it to you. And if you want to find out how you can have the chance to have this lifetime membership at Frontside Nevada, the best, in my opinion, one of the best, at least, firearm institutes in the world, you go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Now, that's pretty much today's show. We have a lot of topics we touch, and I want to leave you with a song that I wrote in 2005. It's a song about the last day, or at least when that day will come. Think about it. Put all in perspective. What you will think about the rest of your life, what you will think about your past life when that day will come. And that day will come to every one of us. If you're rich, if you're poor, if you're beautiful, if you're ugly, it doesn't matter. We're all going to leave this shell and we go to the next destination. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Lucas Zanna. Thank you for your support and share the show. Thank you.
Lost in our pride when the day